of Judge Lake, not with two innocent kids hanging in the balance, and certainly not with this level of chaos. Ashanti Clifton marched into court determined to prove that Sam Little was the father of her twins. Her goal? To get him to resume financial support.
Miss Clifton, you say the defendant, Mr. Little, stopped paying for your twins after finding out another man was also providing money. Yes. Now you say you are seeking the results of a paternity test to prove he's their father.
She said Mr. Little had been helping out until he discovered another man was also contributing money. That's when he slammed the brakes on any support, leaving Ashanti struggling. She didn't mince words. Yes, she had help from other men, but no, none of them thought they were the father. To her, Sam is the father at the end of the story, but Sam wasn't buying it.
Now, Mr. Little, you argue that when Miss Clifton's twins were 4 months old, you learned another man had claimed them as his own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say she's all about the money?
Yes.
Well, the situation wasn't as simple as it seemed. Their whole relationship started when Ashanti came looking for a car, and Sam, a mechanic, helped her out. One thing led to another, and soon enough, the car wasn't the only thing getting serviced. They hooked up during the car hunt, and Ashanti later described him as husband material, someone who seemed like a jackpot. That jackpot came with a catch, though. He failed to mention he had a wife.
You have multiple men supporting your children.
Your Honor, I'm a full-time nursing student. I work 19 hours a week, and I get paid $7.25 an hour. I have 3 children. My oldest boy plays football. I need help. If I can't do it for the kids, if they need something, if I can't do it...
Even after their relationship fizzled out, Ashanti kept Sam in her life as her mechanic, but let's not pretend that was all. According to her, she came in one day and couldn't afford to pay for repairs, and Sam hinted at a different kind of payment. She left that day with her car, her cash, and allegedly a pregnancy.
You were her personal mechanic?
Yes, Your Honor, but the thing is, me and my wife were separated at the time. She actually broke it off with me instantly then.
And you didn't see him anymore?
Only to get my car worked on. I still kept him as my... I still kept him as my...
Things escalated quickly after that. When she called to tell him she was expecting, Sam didn't question it. He accepted it, for a while at least. Then came the twist. A text message, meant for another man, landed in his inbox. It was filled with affection and gratitude, even thanking the other guy for everything he did for the kids. Wait, what?
Pay for your car repair?
She didn't get a car repair, Your Honor. She just got a written estimate that day.
I'm coming to pay him this day for what he had done to my car. I left with my car, and I left pregnant.
Oh,
and I left with my money.
So you're saying that was the day you got pregnant?
Absolutely.
After that day that we had sex, I hadn't seen Miss Clifton for...
According to Ashanti, the other man never believed he was the father, but Sam wasn't convinced. Why would this other guy even be in the picture helping with the twins if he truly thought he had no biological ties?
Tell the man that this other man that's helping you thought it was a possibility that he was the twins' father.
He knows about Mr. Little. He knows they Mr. Little children. He knows that they are not his. This man knows that.
When confronted, Ashanti admitted the man thought there was a possibility the twins were his. Sam's trust crumbled. The mystery deepened when Sam revealed that he had gone to her house to bring goodies for the children, but he saw a man sneaking past him. Now, the seeds of doubt had been planted.
Is there any other reason you think
Yes,
this
ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
other man could be the father of the twins?
She sent me a text one night. She said the kids have no Pampers, no milk. I leave my shop, go to Walmart, buy a big box of Pampers,
50 pack,
2 big containers of...
Ashanti had come with her mother as a witness that Sam was not acting right. The mother chalked everything down to jealousy. For her, Sam is jealous that Ashanti had other men in her life, and that's why he no longer wants to contribute to the children's welfare.
My name is Karan Clifton. Ashanti is my daughter.
Hello, ma'am. What would you like to add? What do you know about this situation?
Well, first of all, my daughter is self-sufficient. She's always worked and gone to school, and I'm very proud of her. Sam started out being a proud father.
As the moments dragged on, the pressure in the courtroom was almost unbearable. Samuel was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. He wanted to believe Ashanti, but the evidence didn't add up. Could the other man really be the father? When the DNA results finally came out, Judge Lake didn't waste words.
Mr. Little, you are not.
Ms. Schwartz stood before Judge Lake, her heart heavy with the weight of uncertainty. She was fighting for something more than just justice. She was fighting for the truth about her daughter, Azalyn. The 9-month-old child had become the center of a bitter dispute, and Ms. Schwartz was adamant that Mr. Hatton was the father.
Ms. Schwartz, you opened your case to prove to the defendant that he fathered your 9-month-old child, Azalyn.
Yes.
You understand his doubt, but state he is her father. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Hatton, however, had a completely different story. He wasn't just denying the paternity of Azalyn, he was convinced that the birth father was someone else entirely, Ms. Schwartz's husband. Yes, her her husband.
Mr. Hatt, you claim you are not Azalin's dad and are certain that her biological father is another man. And that man is the plaintiff's husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Additionally, you have petitioned the court for a polygraph test on Ms. Schwartz to determine the extent of her alleged affairs. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Schwartz revealed that despite the couple's 2 other children, Mr. Hatton had coldly refused to accept his potential role in Azalin's life. Her words were filled with the pain of rejection, as she spoke of her daughter's disappointment when she looked up at her supposed father. There were moments, Ms. Schwartz admitted, when it felt like Mr. Hatton was more involved with everyone but her daughter.
Why are today's results so important to you? What does it feel like that he's denying your child?
It hurts. It really does hurt, because we have 2 other children together and he fathers them, but little Azalin is left out.
And you can feel that difference.
I feel my daughter's pain whenever she looks up at him.
But Mr. Hatton fired back with accusations that cut to the core. According to him, Ms. Schwartz's life was reckless. She had a history of jumping from one relationship to another, and he wasn't about to be dragged into a situation he didn't believe in.
Your Honor, I have reason to believe that she's not at work like she's saying she is, okay? Who makes almost $11 an hour, paid every 2 weeks, and only brings home $100? I mean, come on. I was born at night, just not last night.
What the heck is going on? Oh, but it wasn't over. The twists kept coming. It was evident that the boyfriend's emotions had gotten the better of him. If only Ms. Schwartz would stop going to her husband.
You in bed with your boyfriend, calling your husband to cry to him about how horrible your boyfriend is.
Yeah. I mean, how am I supposed to feel? Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, hold up. You sat there in bed with me in the same bed with you calling your ex, so what makes it different?
But
Hatton claimed Schwartz disappeared multiple times and magically returned pregnant. He wasn't impressed, and to make things even more chaotic, he claimed she broke the news while walking out of a bathroom bar where he had been shooting pool. Not exactly your typical pregnancy reveal. Despite all the drama, Hatton stuck around during the pregnancy, but now he wanted nothing to do with the baby because he was convinced she wasn't his.
Involved in the pregnancy when Azalin was born? Were you there when
I was involved in her pregnancy, even though I don't think the child's mine. I wanted to be a support for her.
He went to the doctor's appointments.
He did?
He was excited about the gender whenever I found out at 10 weeks pregnant.
I ain't gonna lie, but
Schwartz said she practically begged him to get the DNA test done so he could claim Azalin and help her get insurance, but Hatton refused, saying he was just the caretaker of the child, not the father.
I wanted to go to the child support office right after I got out of the hospital to prove to you that she was your daughter, and you didn't even want to go.
So take me to the birth. When Azalin was born, the day she was born.
Man, she wanted me to look between her legs and pull the baby out. I ain't no doctor.
Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for, the entrance of Ms. Schwartz's husband, Mark. He stepped into the courtroom to give his perspective, and what followed was explosive. Mark told the court how he had learned about the relationship and the multiple others Ms. Schwartz had been involved in. It was clear that the dynamics of their relationship had been anything but smooth.
How did you first find out about Mr. Hatton?
She told me she was cheating on me, and I let her go.
And I was also calling him on the phone right in front of you.
Yeah, and you guys even got into an argument one night, and I picked the phone up, called Hatton back, and talked you guys through it.
The drama didn't end there either. Mark also revealed that he had even tried to mediate between his wife and Mr. Hatton. As the case reached its peak, it seemed that nothing was certain anymore except the results.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Hatton.
For over 2 decades, Don Baron had lived with a nagging suspicion, one that gnawed at him every time he wrote a child support check. He had spent more than $20,000 supporting a boy he was told was his son, all while battling a gut feeling that something didn't add up. And now, standing in front of Judge Lake, he was finally about to find out the truth.
Good day, Mr. Here today, along with your wife, to seek long...
Ian was his son, that maybe, just maybe, there was a silver lining to all the pain and betrayal. He wanted closure. Sharon? She wanted vindication. Bradshaw? She just wanted the chaos to end. And Judge Lake? Well, she had the answer. Everyone in that courtroom was desperate to hear.
Mr. Barron, you are not the father.
Samantha Dixon had dragged herself to court after a long, painful battle with stage 3 lymphoma. She wasn't here for money or sympathy, she just wanted the truth. All her life, she'd carried the weight of rejection from a man who, at first, seemed to embrace her. Then suddenly he turned cold, distant, and eventually absent. And now, standing across from her in court, he had only one thing to say. He wasn't her father.
Oh, Ms. Dixon, today you come to court after a very difficult journey and some grave health issues. Statement. You say you believe that Mr. Froyo is your father.
Yes.
She described the emotional toll it had taken on her over the years, especially in her battle with cancer. Samantha's words were quiet, yet every one of them hit the courtroom with a weight that no one could ignore. She recalled the time when she was 10 years old attending her grandmother's funeral. It was a day that should have been filled with grief and comfort, but instead, it was marred by trauma.
How does it make you feel that Mr. Froyo is denying you?
It makes me angry and hurt. I was diagnosed with cancer, and recently I've been very ill. I would like my father to be there. I want to know. 25, I've gone this far, I don't want anything from him.
How could a father, even one with doubts, say something so cold? But the story was messier than that. Samantha's mother flat out denied the existence of this so-called other man. She insisted that Froyo denied Samantha because she was born a girl.
Froyo, why are you so sure that you're not Miss Dixon's father? Because she truly feels rejected by you.
Well, she was about 6 or 7 years old. I had contacted her mother, which is to the right of her right now, and asked if I could take her out for her birthday and buy her stuff.
She recalled how he abandoned her at the hospital right after the birth, refusing to even sign the child's last name as Froyo because apparently it would upset his mother. That's why Samantha's last name was Dixon. Convenient, isn't it?
I don't deny anything.
He wanted a boy. He left me in the hospital right after I gave birth and did not come back to that hospital.
Today will prove it, Your Honor.
This will prove it today.
Like he said, he's got older children. All 4 of us are in a row, from oldest to youngest. My name's on his arm.
For Mr. Froyo, things weren't so simple. He claimed he had been told by another man that Samantha wasn't his child. That random man, according to Froyo, boldly approached him and declared he was Samantha's birth father and had no interest in proving it officially. Froyo held on to that statement like gospel. It confirmed his suspicions, and he distanced himself from Samantha even more.
Happened 5 years ago.
5 years ago, my son and myself were in Florida, and this gentleman came in, which was a friend of his. He goes, Samantha has never been your daughter. I go, what do you mean? My son sat next to me. He says, she's mine, and I'll never go to New York State to prove any different.
Well, I'd like to know who he is, really.
According to Samantha, she was part of his life until she wasn't. She recounted moments of love, racing motorcycles together, him calling her by a nickname, making her feel special, and then it all disappeared. He began denying her, first quietly, then loudly. He told her she wasn't his, not once or twice, but at every major stage of her life. First at 8, then again at 15, then again at 17, and now, at 25, she was still chasing answers.
Circumstances.
When I was about 13, no, it was when my grandmother died, so we'll say from 10 to 13, he was dating a girl who didn't like me. She considered me to be a ghetto hood rat because I didn't have the best of the best. So I called his phone, because I always find his number. I have his number now, because I've never let go of the memories when I was 5.
Despite all that, she still reached out. She called him, searched for his number, and held on to memories of the man who once showed her affection. But each time she reached out, she got nothing but rejection.
Tell you,
Miss Dixon.
At 14, I went down the wrong path. I decided that I didn't have a dad. I had no male figure in my life to lay the law. My mom was working 60 hours a week to support the home. She had 2 other kids besides me. 14, I reached out to boys.
He signed the birth certificate. He tattooed her name on his arm. He once called her his good luck charm. Yet here they were, in court, and he was swearing up and down that she wasn't his daughter. His attitude towards her was toxic, with a capital T.
And she told me that he wasn't my father, which is why I'm here today, because I don't need a sympathy and I don't need a charity case. I've done enough without his help. I really don't need him. I just want to know that this next battle of cancer that I'm facing.
Judge Lake wasn't having any of Froyo's cold detachment. She questioned his lack of compassion, especially given Samantha's health struggles. But Froyo stayed firm. He wanted proof. That's what he came for, and Judge Lake was ready to deliver.
Mr. Froyo, you are her father.
Told you. It was Father Ashley.
Already denied. He wants the court to refund him all the money he spent in taking care of the child because he knows that he is not the father of the baby. Here's how he starts his case.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496 and for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court father and say it's time he steps up and...
Excuse me? She got pregnant 2 weeks after they slept with each other? That doesn't sound right. I mean, it takes only once to get pregnant, but 2 weeks seems way too early for her to say that she's pregnant.
I started dating Harvey. Every day.
In with
yes,
him?
I did. And every day we had sex every day.
You got pregnant
non-stop.
2 weeks.
I didn't find out till I was
we had sex the first week I met.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it was the second
I didn't
week.
find out.
All this yapping. Jeez, can one person talk? Apparently, Ms. Jett claims that she found out she was pregnant 1 month after they had been having constant sexual relations. Even that story still sounds a little too good to be true.
We stopped talking, she moved back to Orlando, she wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Okay, so there was a...
Aha! Now the stories are beginning to add up. Apparently their breakup happened as a result of Mr. Harvey cheating on her with several women. That's one truth bomb. I'm sure there's more on the way.
1 diapers, 2 baby wipes, 3 pacifiers, 9 a nursing pillow that I showed.
Yes, I said that.
And this is all before the baby's born.
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm even surprised Mr. Harvey decided to buy all the items on her funny list. It's even crazy that the baby had not been born before she sent the list to him. She has to be one delusional young woman.
When did you start putting 2 and 2 together? Be specific.
Okay, when I first met Sade, she got pregnant fast, and then we stopped talking. Okay, she was in a relationship.
Your Honor,
She said she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. And another thing is she had the baby and tagged the dude's name in the picture.
That's actually crazy. Mr. Harvey says that his doubts started to pop up when he found out on Facebook that Ms. Jett posted a picture of the baby and tagged another man, claiming that he was the baby daddy. What's even worse is that Mr. Harvey's family members told him about the whole thing.
At all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I said, hey, my daughter, you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know what
Why would this guy, Ms. Jett? Why would this
And
guy?
you don't know what you writing.
He said that maybe it was an accident that he...
Oh, come on. She can't be serious right now. Does she think she's talking to kids? How can someone randomly pick up her phone and tag himself as the baby daddy of her child, knowing fully that the child already has a dad? Yeah, right.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500, and plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is...
It's starting to get real dicey. Ms. Jett claims that the amount Mr. Harvey is asking her to return is only a fraction of what she spends on her baby, so she doesn't understand why he's making a big deal about the whole thing.
You haven't seen the baby since July. So, Mr. Harvey, your doubt is just based on a Facebook post?
No, it's not that. It's not that, Your Honor.
What is it?
Okay, and then another thing is, after she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again.
Haha. And just like that, another truth bomb hits the floors of the courtroom. Mr. Harvey says that he went through her phone and he saw some texts where she was telling another guy to pay for an abortion. Guess what? She was not pregnant at the time.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. And all his brothers look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads. Our family have big eyes. His children look just alike from different moms.
Could she have a point or be onto something? Mr. Harvey's aunt says that the baby does not look like anybody in their family. She very much doubts that Mr. Harvey is the father of the baby. But then again, kids don't necessarily have to look like their dad all the time.
He called me and told me that Sade was pregnant.
I didn't meet...
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
I did not know.
At this point, it's honestly hard to believe anybody right now. Ms. Jett's mother says that Mr. Harvey called her and told her that she should not be worried about him leaving when the baby is born. I think it's time for us to see the results.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey, V. Jett. Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine.
And your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Mrs. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men.
Claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
And now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this. That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
When you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Mrs. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you know, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke had...
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
About the time that the other males were present.
I was upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had gotten together.
You said one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
Well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore, and that's when we ended up deciding to spice up our sex life and everything, and we ended up having a female-female threesome with him, so he got to pick another woman.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie, get on a jet, and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
Comes to 8-month-old Alexis Jaramillo. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Percival, you past 31 been willing to accept you as his biological daughter. Now, Mr. Hansen, you sleep with Miss Percival's mother.
For 31 years, Miss Percival had always been told that Mr. Hansen was her father, but he had never been involved in her life, never accepted her, and flat out refused to take a DNA test. Meanwhile, her sister Jessica had been accepted by him from the moment she was born. Mr. Hansen stood firm, denying any possibility that Chantel Percival was his daughter. He claimed he was married, loyal to his wife, faithful, never straying, and definitely not sleeping with Chantel's mother at the time of conception. That was his story, and he wasn't budging.
Miss Percival, please, why you feel Mr. Hansen has rejected you?
I feel like he's rejected me. Well, my whole life I've grown up who my father was, knowing...
Then came the bombshell. Miss Percival's mother, Charlene, took the stand and calmly shredded Mr. Hansen's claim of loyalty. According to her, he was anything but faithful. They weren't just casually involved. They were going back and forth, seeing each other off and on. At the same time, he was with his wife, Tracy. Charlene admitted she too had another man in her life during that period, but she was certain Mr. Hansen was the father. After all, he was there, in the mix, consistently.
Is it that Mr. Hansen so strongly that he's the father?
I'm not sure why he doubts it, because of the simple fact I was with, and I told her, going back and forth, each other back and forth, and then...
Mr. Hansen insisted he'd never cheated, never slipped up, not once. He even bragged about a 20-year marriage where he claimed fidelity was his badge of honor. But there was one glaring problem with his timeline. Ms. Percival was born just 1 month apart from another daughter Mr. Hansen did acknowledge. That's right, 2 babies, 28 days apart. Coincidence? Ms. Percival didn't think so, and neither did her mother.
And the fact that your daughters are your contention that he in fact was going back and forth.
Yes, Your Honor. Father.
That's a lie. That's a lie. With her after we...
But as the conversation unfolded, the details became juicier. Mr. Hansen had been involved with another woman at the time of the alleged conception, a woman who would soon walk into the courtroom holding the key to a shocking revelation. The courtroom was about to be filled with more drama than anyone could have anticipated.
Should have you go to the podium on the left.
Really? Are you serious? I can't wait for child support.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second before you state your name for the court.
Tracy Merchant.
Mr. Hansen, of course, denied everything. Again, claimed Tracy cheated on him and even brought up an alleged affair with his own brother to deflect. Suddenly, paternity wasn't the only thing in question. There were accusations flying like bullets in every direction. But amid the chaos, one thing stood clear. Mr. Hansen's denials were losing credibility fast.
No, you cheated on me.
So, Mr. Hansen,
yes, Your Honor.
Also denying that Miss Hansen is your daughter.
50-50 chance.
Yeah, no.
This was clearly a very emotional moment for Teresa. Imagine your dad saying that to you. When Teresa was around 11, Mr. Hansen told her that there was a possibility that he was not her father and another member of the family was her birth father. Imagine burdening a kid with such adult business.
So you grew up
not knowing if father, the person you thought was your father, or your uncle, was your biological.
It was brought up with him.
Mr. Hansen tried to make what little amends he couldn't. He promised to be for them no matter what the results said, but the sisters aren't going to let him off easily. Ms. Percival presented evidence that showed that Mr. Hansen had been with her mother.
But I have a real, and I don't mean to make you feel bad in any way. I'm not that kind of put you in my life.
If you're not that kind of person and didn't want to make me feel bad, why would you?
The sisters also told the court how not having a father figure in their lives ruined their adulthood. Both sisters had gone after older men in search of that connection, and both had given birth by 16. Now is the moment for truth.
Mr. Hansen, you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Lester believes Mr. Lewis denies fathering her 21-month-old son, Rydine, because she's refused to have sex with him anymore. But Mr. Lewis claims it's because Ms. Lester was openly sleeping with other men.
Ms. Lester, you opened this case against Mr. Lewis because you say he 21-month-old son, Raiden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Only because you won't have sex with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you want Mr. Lewis to step up after today's result.
I'm curious to see what Mr. Lewis and Ms. Lester have in the bag today. There's a 21-month-old baby involved, and while Mr. Lewis says he is not the father, Ms. Lester insists he is. Let's find out more.
Plant my son?
We did not plan a baby.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We've also never used a condom. We talked about having a baby numerous times, so this is all new to me on why he's not claiming my son.
So you're denying the baby?
These two have no filter and no respect for each other. They just keep jabbing at each other. With the way things are going, Judge Lauren might have to get security in the courtroom. Mr. Lewis knew Ms. Lester was known to sleep around. Why then did he continuously have unprotected sex with her? Something does not sound right with that story.
Seen her at a grocery store one day. She was with another man then, so I didn't say nothing. When I seen her on Facebook, I inboxed her. She inboxed me back saying all guys want to do is have sex.
They met up after a long time when they were both seeing other people. Then, out of the blue, they confessed love to each other and decided to have a baby. Now, this story is just ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Judge Lauren is not buying any of what is being said right now.
I never thought.
Yes, you did, because you kept saying you ain't pregnant, you ain't pregnant. Yes, you did. Correction. Yes, you did.
No, I
and
never
then the day I had my son, I did not call him because he knew the day that I was having my son because I had to get a cesarean.
Ms. Lester told another man that he was the father of her son. In fact, this man was at the hospital during the birth, and he signed the birth certificate. Why then is Ms. Lester suddenly pinning the paternity of her son on Mr. Lewis? Could it be possible that he is actually not the father of the child?
I had sex to the other man 2 weeks prior to him getting me finding out I was pregnant.
So why isn't the other man here too?
Because we did a test and it came back that he was not his father.
For what reason did she post paternity results on social media? That's insane. Guess she wanted everyone to know the other guy wasn't the father of her child, but it still doesn't make sense.
I've been shot multiple times to where the doctors have pumped so much medicine in my body. And they told me that I couldn't have kids at all.
And since that time, you haven't fathered any other children?
No.
It's funny how people choose to hold back important details that could help the case go on faster. Up until now, why didn't anyone mention Mr. Lewis's possible sterility and Ms. Lester's fiance? These should be the final pieces to complete the puzzle.
When I got in the picture, Raiden was already, I'd say, 3 to 4 months.
So you don't believe can't be what? No, that still doesn't matter because if you've been 10 years on and off.
Not sexually though, Your Honor.
Oh.
You believe it.
It's legit.
You believe it.
Well. Ms. Lester's got herself a good fiance willing to step up and care for Raiden regardless of who his father is. But we can't figure out how Ms. Lester has been sleeping around while being in a 10-year-old relationship. How do you decide to have a baby with another man when you are engaged to someone else? It doesn't add up.
At the beginning of this year, that's when we decided to be serious with this relationship.
How can she be serious when she just hit me 2 weeks ago?
I called him.
Naked.
What?
Bucket naked. In the tub while he's out of town.
It must be a hell of a ride to be engaged to a woman like Ms. Lester. She claims she and her fiance decided to be committed to each other at the start of the year. But just 2 weeks before this case, she hit on Mr. Lewis.
been a real joy to me. I've developed this bond with him. He's developed a bond with my family. He's been around all of my family, and they all just love him to death.
And you come and get him every weekend?
Every other week I come and get him. He got clothes and everything at my house.
Mr. Lewis's mom has formed a bond with the baby. Radine spends time with their family, and Grandma doesn't want that taken away from her. Sadly, only the results can determine if Grandma's gonna get her wish or not.
And I mean, he claimed that he didn't have a father when he was growing up. I don't want that for my son. Off of the decisions and the mistakes that I've made in the past. All we can do from our mistakes is learn from them and make sure that we don't make them again.
Indeed, it'll be a miracle, baby. And if there is one thing we know about paternity court, it is that miracles are always happening here. This is the most miraculous court in the world. The results are in. Let's find out whose baby Raiden is.
Month-old Raiden. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
You are here in court today to finally find out if the defendant is your biological father. You both claim at your mother's funeral a different man approached you and announced,
"At the time, I haven't seen my mother in 4 years. I was at work, and that's how I found out that my mother had passed away."
Even Judge Lauren can't hide her shock. That would definitely throw her off balance. The fact that something like that even happened at her mother's funeral is just mind-blowing. But where has the man been all this while?
And what was...
I told him, that these are my kids. Supposed to be father was actually a friend of her grandfather's.
You knew this man already?
Yes, sure.
So you grew up knowing this is just a friend of your family?
Seems to me like the only person to blame for this misunderstanding was their mother. Ms. Johnson tells the judge that when her mother was alive, she would sometimes say that Mr. Johnson was their father, and other times she would say the other man was also their father.
She would tell me, I'm unhappy while I was at work. Come on, every man, every woman knows when their partner's cheating on them.
Did you ever catch her? Did you ever witness firsthand?
I caught her in the man's apartment, but actually caught her activity, no.
That had to have broken his heart. Mr. Johnson says that their mom told him that she was cheating. She constantly nagged about him not spending time with her and how she was unhappy about it. Looks like she found a way to stay happy. Sadly, she left a mess behind.
That's my divorce papers.
So this is a final judgment of divorce.
Yes, Your Honor.
It says the defendant,
yes, Your Honor.
And that would be you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she relinquished her parental rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Johnson, you raised these children on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a man being the perfect example of a good father. He shows Judge Lauren evidence that states that their mother waved away her parental rights to her daughters. I wonder what type of mother would do such a thing to her children. At least they had Mr. Johnson. Thank God for that.
I know this is tough, sir. I do. You were there for all the monumental moments.
I mean, I was the one that taught them how to be a young lady, how to take care of themselves. That was a fun one. That was fun. But thank God, me being a tattoo artist.
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Johnson is truly a good man. Even though he had doubts about the kid, he stood up to his responsibilities and took very good care of their girls. I really hope he is the father for real.
I love my first wife. That was the mother of my children. But and my children know I used to pay the mother to see them. And that's the reason why it was so long why they didn't see the mother, having to give her money just to spend time with the kids.
Oh, I understand. You're saying when you had the girl, you wanted the girls to see her.
Man, that is horrible. She has to be the worst mother on God's green earth. Why would you have to be paid to see your own kids? With that type of character, it's not surprising she left them in such a messy situation.
And there was a little boy there, and her mother told her that that was her half-brother or something. And that is also the same one that fathered, the same guy that was supposed to father her, fathered that child too.
And you were introduced to a little boy and told this was your half-brother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Honestly, they aren't wrong. Kids should not have to deal with things this complicated at a very young age. Imagine not having your mother around and still being introduced to a stepbrother. That's just very messed up. Their mom should have honestly done better.
There's a lot of doubt. My middle sister, I could see my father.
That's Miss Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Davis, I love her to pieces.
It's okay, sweet.
But here's some.
You don't see your father.
No, ma'am.
And that hurts you to have to say.
That is honestly so sad. Everyone is so emotional right now. Their brother walks into the courtroom and he says that there's so much doubt surrounding the paternity of both ladies. One looks like their father and the other just doesn't fit the description. They must really hate their mom right now.
From what he was told, I was just the man that raised her. And that was like taking a knife and stabbing it in my heart. I got upset about it. I actually confronted Melinda about it.
You did. Miss Davis, can you explain
explain what happened? Was there a time when you just felt...
Jeez, everything just keeps stabbing Mr. Johnson in the heart. He has honestly been through so much having to raise these girls on his own. Well, let's see if the DNA results are going to mend all of that damage.
Mr. Johnson Sr., you are his father. Now we'll move on to the results for Miss Johnson. Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father. In the case of Johnson Davis v. Johnson, Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father.
Mr. Wiseman is furious as hell. Why? Well, he allowed his good friend to move in with him and his girlfriend, and this good friend of his ended up kicking it in bed with his girlfriend. Now, he fears that his best friend might be the father of their child. Could he be right? Oh well, here's how he opens his case.
You claim he repaid your generosity by sleeping with your girlfriend in a paternity dispute over which of you fathered 2-year-old Brett Wiseman. Mr. New, you claim when you first moved in, your relationship with Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend...
You're speechless, right? Trust me, I am too. In what world does something like this even happen? Mr. New, the supposed good friend, says that he is very protective of Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend because he believes she's carrying his baby. Wow.
How did you even find out Mr. New had slept with your girlfriend?
Somebody in her family came and told me.
What did that person tell you?
We told him ourselves, Your Honor, once we started.
What did that person tell you?
You know, they was becoming too close of friends, and they finally told me, like, look, we know for a fact that...
I don't know, man. It feels like there are loopholes in his story. Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that one of his girlfriend's family members told him that she had been sleeping with his friend Mr. New. That definitely can't be the only way he found out she was cheating.
She was at her grandma's house because they was already broke up because he cheated on her so many times and she was letting it go. Knew about it.
Okay.
Knew about it.
She's
knew
the
about
cheater,
it and all
just like
that.
that's why he's so protected. He's so protected because you have to be with her. Because if you ain't stuck up her butt 24/7.
I knew something wasn't adding up with the story Mr. Wiseman was telling. Mr. New says that the only reason his girlfriend was cheating on him was because he had cheated on her numerous times with other women. Honestly, I think it's time we actually hear her own side of the story. These grown men are just going at each other like two best friends in high school. Jeez, if they can't get the story right, at least the lady involved is gonna make some sense from the mess.
And then having sexual relations with other women. She never told him that she knew that, so he thought it was all cool. He was
cheating on her.
Yes, he always accused her of cheating when she wasn't. So she did sleep with my cousin a year or two before I even knew him.
I mean, our first 8 months together, she cheated on me with her ex.
That certainly clears the air. Looks like she's the only man in the situation. She said her part plain and simple without acting like a drama queen the way the men in question did. Oh well. She admits to cheating on Mr. Wiseman and she blames it on the fact that they were having issues in their relationship.
You know, then when I found out about him, so yeah, I definitely had doubts.
Had you found out about Mr. New before you found out Miss Duncan was pregnant or after?
Kind of before. I mean, I was being told. I was definitely being told by her family that they was sleeping together.
So you heard the rumors?
Yeah.
Hold on. If that's the case, why is Mr. New claiming to be the father? Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that Ms. Duncan had him believe all along that he was the father of the child. Something isn't right, and I can smell it.
Bro, she just plays both parts. She keeps me there and him there. That's all she does.
I know what happened.
Yeah, and he was just a friend.
I'm there every day now supporting your kids, bro.
Okay, no, you ain't.
They're your kids, bro.
So hold on, Mr. New.
And when Brett's old enough, I bet he does. I bet he does, because I'm the only one does anything for him.
I agree. It's an absolute mess. I'm pretty sure Mr. Wiseman was not prepared to hear that. Ms. Duncan drops a truth bomb and says that she and Mr. New are engaged. Aside from that, she's pregnant with his child. Ouch.
Mr. Wiseman, when you look at Brett, do you see a resemblance?
No.
You don't?
I mean, even with my oldest kid, she was with her boyfriend for 8 months, with me and both of them, then got pregnant with him.
So now you're stating in court today that there's potentially another?
Talk about a mess. It's like they just keep making babies and nobody wants to own up to being responsible for them. You know what? I think it's time we get to the results. That would definitely help us sort out their messy situation.
It has been determined that the biological father is Mr. Wiseman.
Bet he don't.
Well,
Ms. Lima appears in the courtroom, admitting that she made a huge mistake by getting into an affair with the defendant, Mr. who happens to be married. Mr. Anderson hopes that he is not the father of the child because that would mean his life would be over. It's a big mess, but here's how it all starts.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope it doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the first night, they had sex on the first night of just meeting up? Wow. Seems to me like that was the whole idea behind their meeting. I very much doubt they wanted anything romantic. Kicking it in bed on the first night clearly states that.
So I couldn't make the trip, so I got on Facebook and I told him, and a few minutes later, his Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and say, like, who are you? So I'm like, well, said I'm his girlfriend of a year, so who are you? She was like, well, I'm his wife of 10 years.
Damn, I'm pretty sure both Ms. Lima and Mr. Anderson's wife would have been very shocked to meet themselves in a manner like that. Let's just say Mr. Anderson was playing his game really well to keep them apart for that long because Ms. Lima said she never knew he was married.
I decided to go out and take Miss Lima out one night, and me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses and...
This night, or is Miss Lima's assertion that this went on, she told your wife she was your girlfriend for a year?
Well, it does take just one time to make a baby. But then again, I can't believe that Mr. Anderson cheated on his wife just because they had a really bad argument. You can tell his wife is pissed and hurt to her bone. She's in disbelief that he could actually do such a thing.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Saturdays and Sundays, or you thought he was working during the week?
Not really, because I went to his house numerous of times, but...
Wait, excuse me.
I went to his house numerous of times, and I told her what was in her house, and I described it to her.
My God. Hold on. Mr. Anderson, where was your family when you would take this woman to your home?
That is just awful. Apparently, Mr. Anderson lied in the courtroom. He initially said that he met Ms. Lima just once, but that was not the case. Ms. Lima says that they met every weekend for almost 2 years, and there were times she even went to his home.
You got this young woman over here describing I'm mad for her.
For some money. She's looking for a cash out.
That's not the case at all. That's not.
Well, if she's looking for a cash out, you gave her the directions. Because you to your treasure.
He honestly needs to be schooled, and I love that Judge Lauren is not sparing him one bit. He says that Ms. Lima is just looking to get some cash from him. Well, he is the one who led her to where the treasure is, like Judge Lauren said. It's just sad that he did this to his lovely wife.
Family at first. I couldn't contact him, so I went to his family, and I got rejected by them. So I was like, well, that really hurted me, so I was just like, well, let me move to the other person that I had sex with during that time.
Oh, hold on. Let me understand this. So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Oh my goodness. They had sex again? Honestly, I doubt Mr. Anderson is sorry about what he did. Oh well, Ms. Lima says that Mr. Anderson was not the only person she had sex with during the window of conception.
Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because I want to talk on the phone. You understand? And when she was telling me the things that she was telling me, my whole world it caved in. Like, are you serious? This
because
my
you all
husband.
have built a lot together.
Believe me, I screamed Jesus when she said they have 5 kids together. Mr. Anderson has to be the most inconsiderate human being on earth right now. How can you build so much with your wife and still do her dirty like this? That's very sad and disappointing.
Baby daddy is.
Okay, we're gonna find out today, though.
Really?
Really? Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh my God, this hurts really bad, and I try to keep it together for my children, but it really, really hurts. And just to know that there could be another baby in my family, like, come on.
And truthfully, your marriage.
She's right, if we're being honest. It's too late to say he is sorry. He should have known he would end up in such a situation. Who cheats on their wife and then comes to say they're sorry? Come on. He hid it from her for 2 years.
Clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the situation?
Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, come February, I took her flowers to a job site, took her out to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
At least she was honest with him. The other man Ms. Lima was sleeping with walks into the courtroom and says that Ms. Lima told him that there's a chance that Mr. Anderson could also be the father of the baby because she was sleeping with the both of them at the same time.
But that's all right. You better go ahead and practice you some law, baby. Go ahead.
He didn't go to any doctor's appointments or anything like that.
Okay. And that's a very important part of being pregnant.
Correct.
Was Mr. Anderson involved at all?
No, he wasn't there neither.
Okay, and these are the only...
It looks like he wants the child to be his, but he just had doubts about the whole thing. Let's get down to the results. It's time we see if Mr. Anderson's actions have shattered his family.
Is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
Ms. Billingsley claims that she alone has shouldered the burden of more than $10,000 in childcare expenses for taking care of her daughter. All this is because the defendant, Mr. Broadnax, is denying her daughter and does not want to step up to the responsibility of being a father. Here's how the case begins.
Ms. Billingsley, you claim you alone have shouldered the burden of more than $10,000 and refuses to help support her.
Yes, Your Honor.
$5,000 and claim today's paternity results will prove you right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Broadnax is not denying the fact that he has not done anything for the child. He says that the only reason he has not stepped up is because he believes that Ms. Billingsley cheated on him and also believes that he is not the father of the child.
My daughter is now 21 months and I have been taking care of her since day one. For example, for her first birthday, we were going to do her birthday party. And I had decided that we were going. It breaks my heart.
Men, Mr. Broadnax really doesn't want to be part of her child's life. Ms. Billingsley explains to the court that on one of her child's birthdays, she and Mr. Broadnax made plans to give their child a big birthday surprise, but when the day came, he was MIA.
For me, Your Honor, is
I'm not
the
going to
beginning
take care
of my
the child at my
first trimester was
I'm not
very
at Debbie's
difficult.
house when she told me that she was pregnant. Got her a house, her car, everything.
He did for me because I've always worked. I've always supported myself.
Is it just me, or does Ms. Billingsley have her story confused? She started by saying that Mr. Broadnax has not done anything for her baby. Now she's changing the story by saying that he actually bought her a house and a car when she was pregnant with the child. What's going on?
Planning this baby and being together, there were rumors of cheating?
There was rumors. Found out I was pregnant. It was very early in my pregnancy. I found out, I was excited. The first person I called was Mr. Broadnax to share the news.
I'm siding with her on that one. Ms. Billingsley tells the judge that they planned to have the baby, but when she got pregnant and Mr. Broadnax came back to the city, he was partying constantly. And she told him that if he did not stop all the partying, she was going to leave.
But there are days that he will deny her, and there's days that he...
Getting houses and cars and going to doctor's appointments, everything.
I started doubting, Your Honor, when I was just... And then I heard her phone go off. So I picked up her phone, and she was messaging her ex-boyfriend. I seen a message, hey, and I miss you. That's as far as it went.
Honestly, that sounds like a whole lot of nothing. Mr. Broadnax explains to the judge that his doubts come from the fact that she texted her ex-boyfriend saying she misses him, and his friend has seen her with a couple of dudes hanging out together. I mean, she's allowed to have male friends.
As you can see, her window of conception was from the 10th to the 18th, I believe. Work schedule. I was out of town from the...
Away for almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Looks like he was onto something after all. Mr. Broadnax presents evidence that shows that the conception date of the child tallies with the period he was out of town. If he was out of town, there's no way he could have made a baby with Ms. Billingsley.
Okay, so we were together. I've got her house, as I said. About 3-4 months, it started getting rocky, arguing a lot. Her DNA test, when I brought that up, she would always
That is a lie, Your Honor.
She would always get defensive, just like
that
right now.
That is a lie. When he would request no, when he was...
Phew, I honestly wonder how these two were able to sit down in the same room and try to make a baby. All they do is argue with each other. Well, Ms. Billingsley says that anytime Mr. Broadnax brought up the idea of a DNA test, he wouldn't follow through with it.
I always told her she never wanted to do a DNA test. I always tell her
I have been doing this on my own.
I have doubts, Your Honor.
I have spent over almost $10,000 on this child alone, being 21 months.
Wow. If you're looking for a mom who loves her child, Ms. Billingsley is the perfect example. She presents her own evidence to the judge, and it shows the number of items she has bought for her child. She also states that Mr. Broadnax has not done anything since the baby was born.
She told me numerous occasions that the baby...
That is a lie.
You have never told me the baby wasn't mine?
I've never told you that.
Ms. Billingsley, you, in anger, anything, you've never told him this is not your child.
No. She's lying, Your Honor.
That's actually hilarious. Mr. Broadnax says that he is in a relationship, but Ms. Billingsley says that they were intimate a few days before their court case, and she can take a lie detector test to prove it. I think it's time we get to the results. Let's get Fish to the bottom of all of this.
Mr. Broadnax, you are the father.
I'm gonna step up to the plate and start taking care of my daughter.
She needs her father.
Ms. Beto is in the courtroom today because she says that she was furious that the defendant, Mr. Bolton, asked her to take a DNA test on her daughter. She says that the request has broken up her happy home, and she wants to see if that can be fixed with the results from today's case. Here's how it all begins.
There's
Judge.
Ms. Beto, you say you were furious when the defendant asked on your 7 Ileana. That request has broken up your happy home.
Wow. Him being in the courtroom for the exact same thing has to be heartbreaking. Mr. Bolton says that he is heartbroken that he has to do this, but he had built a beautiful bond with the child, and he just wants to be sure he is the father.
I was very devastated to find out the news about the young boy not being. But in the same sense, I was happy. Child supposed to be mine. See, Your Honor, here's the thing. When the baby was born, I cut the umbilical cord, the doctors wiped the baby off, and they gave...
I'm not even going to lie. That took me by surprise. Even the judge and Jerome could not believe he said that. Mr. Bolton says that when the baby was born and the doc handed the baby to him, the doc asked Mr. Bolton if he was certain that he was the father because the baby was white.
First born, and when the doctor made that comment, this is the reason why we're here right there.
Okay, Your Honor, let me just say this. We are, that was stupid. We're mixed. I'm Dominican and black. He's Puerto Rican and black.
I mean, that's actually a doubt. The normal thing every doctor says once a child comes into the world is congratulations. But when a doctor asks you if the child is yours, you should really go into panic mode. Ms. Beto insists that the child belongs to Mr. Bolton.
Faithful, loyal woman.
I did, but that's the relationship. I mean, if you look at the baby's, man, the baby's white.
So until you were in the delivery room...
At this point, it seems like everyone doubts that the baby belongs to Mr. Bolton. He says that when the family members came to congratulate him, they also asked him if he was sure that the baby was his because of the skin tone.
All right, she disappeared. What reason, I don't know, but when she finally came back, we figured out that baby wasn't mine. Got my name off the birth certificate, finally. Second time this has happened in my life, a young lady got pregnant, but come to find out.
Wow, it's actually crazy that this is his third attempt at trying to find out if he is the father of a child. One would honestly think that Mr. Bolton was cursed or something. Even Judge Lauren is surprised that this situation has happened to him more than once. I would lose my mind if I were in his shoes.
Couple years. How old is Ileana? She's 7 months. Last year and a half or so. Have you slept with anybody else?
We actually broke up last year around August, and it was due to...
Looks like Mr. Bolton is not a saint. He says that he cheated to make Ms. Beto happy. She was always accusing him of cheating, and when he got tired of hearing it, he decided to cheat and make her happy. I can't believe that's his reason for cheating.
To my phone calls for a while. After,
Why should
I cheated on her, okay? So now we're working on something, trying to get back together. When we finally get back together, this is when she's admitting that...
At least we can all agree that they both slept with different people. The only difference is that Ms. Beto slept with the other guy when she was no longer with Mr. Bolton. Sadly, we can't say the same thing for Mr. Bolton.
His baby.
And his baby are in her phone.
In her phone, and it looks like this. His daughter looks like my daughter. So...
I mean, but how often is it that babies can look alike?
But Your Honor, I just want to show you this evidence right here.
Let me see that evidence, sir.
You can see that she's really hurt by everything that's going on in the courtroom. She upset that Mr. Bolton doesn't believe the child is his, and now that's making them put a hold on their marriage. That's honestly sad.
Worried, still.
I am, just because, yeah, my past, and, just...
And the last time you were in
like
court?
The signs, the last time I was in court, I mean, came out, not yours. But the signs are there, so many people saying it.
If you leave these guys, they are going to argue that no one is left on planet Earth. Oh well, the results are in, and I think it's time for us to find out if Ms. Beto has been telling the truth all the while.
In the case of Beto v. Bolton, when it comes to the paternity of Ileana Bolton, and as to whether Mr. Bolton is her biological father, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Bolton, you are her father.
Mr. Field says that he is in the courtroom for the sake of his son. He claims that the defendant, Ms. Nicholson, has lied to him, cheated on him, and told him to his face that he is not the father of the child. He is here today to clear the doubts and get to the bottom of the whole mess and find out the truth. This is how he starts his case.
Mr. Fields, you state you were here for the sake of your 1-year-old son.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim the defendant has lied to you, cheated on you, and even told you herself that you are not the child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Numerous amounts of panties? Wow, that's very shocking. Mr. Field says that he doubts paternity because Ms. Nicholson cheated on him. Ms. Nicholson says that he is the one who actually cheated, and she is furious that he is accusing her of being the cheat.
Tyrell's the one who's the liar. He's the one who's the cheater. He sends me videos, pictures. I'm seeing text messages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. There's proof that he's cheating. I also have a video stating
Okay, Your Honor, and I've told her everything. I've told her even before I've done such a thing.
Well, the ball game just changed, and it looks like Mr. Fields is now on the hot seat. Ms. Nicholson says that she has a video where Mr. Fields is seen to be having sex with another lady. Mr. Fields claims to have told her about it, but somehow that sounds like a big lie.
Evidence. You've submitted a video to the court. Yes. Let's take a look at that evidence.
But I'm the one who's cheating.
Your Honor.
But I'm the one who's cheating.
Your Honor.
That's a video you got from where?
He sent it to my phone.
Your Honor,
about 2 weeks ago.
He sent it to your phone?
About 2 weeks ago,
Your Honor.
Why would you send that video to her phone?
Your Honor, I did it out of anger, and I told her that I was going to cheat because she said she was going to cheat.
Talk about a relationship that is very toxic. Their relationship checks the top of the list in that category. As you can see, the video proof is mind-blowing. Mr. Fields, in his defense, says that he only cheated because Ms. Nicholson told him she was going to cheat.
Were you in a sexual relationship with him?
Not.
Your Honor, one day I went up to her job. The dude that I believe is that child's father, he did a sexual gesture to her in front of my face, and she pretended like she didn't see it. That's the same dude that called her phone the same night I went to go pick her up from her house.
At this point, it's pretty obvious that these two do not trust each other at all. I am surprised they even agreed to be in the same courtroom. Mr. Fields says that the man who he believes to be the child's father made sexual gestures, indicating that he and Ms. Nicholson were intimate.
Excuse me, why would I want my boyfriend to cheat on me? What female wants that? Does it make sense? It doesn't.
Your Honor,
who wants to be cheated on?
She says that out her mouth, along with her sister saying that she's a cheater and that boy is not mine.
Your Honor.
So now her family member told you.
That's correct.
Man, you can tell she's really hurt by the whole situation. Ms. Nicholson tells the judge that Mr. Fields is the only man she has been with since she was 16. It breaks her heart that he is the one who cheated. And now he is claiming that she's the cheat.
I don't do anything. Anything. What proof do you have? I clearly got proof of you.
Explain the
Look at him. He looks just like you.
Explain the hickeys on your neck.
He looks just like you. I never had a hickey on my neck. Never. You don't even suck on my neck, but yet I got a hickey. I don't like it, number one.
That was funny. I'm not even gonna lie. It seems like Mr. Fields is just making all this up in his head. Everything that's making him doubt paternity is coming from other people and not what he has seen. What's crazy is that he doesn't even have proof of any of it.
October. I was told that I was pregnant like the 25th of October, okay? 2 weeks after that, that's when I had my first doctor's appointment, and they told me that I was 5 weeks. So if you count back 5 weeks, that doesn't even add up. If I was 2 weeks after October 25th is what? The second week of November, am I correct? Count back 5 weeks is still October.
Yes.
I can't be the only one who is getting tired of Mr. Fields making up stories. He says that he was not intimate with Ms. Nicholson during the window of conception, but Ms. Nicholson says that they had sex literally every day without protection. I can't even tell who is lying.
She said if I don't give it to her, she'll get it elsewhere.
What sense does that make? What sense does that make? I'm not pressed for it. You are clearly, that's what the video showed. Clearly.
So at the point you find out you're pregnant, you tell Mr. Field.
I was there.
When she found out.
Yes.
At least we know he is a good father. Well, they both seem to have different stories to tell the judge. The results have been submitted, and Judge Lauren is ready to give her verdict. It's time we find out who the liar has been in the courtroom.
Mr. Fields, you are his father.
Ms. Ray finds herself in a very messy situation. Two men claim that they are the fathers of her 2-year-old son, and her son calls them daddy. The crazy thing is that both men have been financially present in the child's life. Believe me, it's one hell of a case. And here's how it all begins.
Ms. Ray, 2 men claim your 2-year-old son Jordan calls them daddy. They also say you've held them both financially responsible for your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say those statements are lies.
Yes, Your Honor.
As you can see, it's one hell of a situation Ms. Ray has managed to find herself in. There are 2 men in the courtroom who could be potential fathers, and she has no idea who the father of her son is. Phew! I wonder how she found herself in such a messy situation.
How did this love triangle begin?
The triangle began at the end of the summer in 2011. Me and Mr. Wise.
They don't know if they had sex? Yeah, right. Like anybody is gonna buy that. Ms. Ray says that she and Mr. Wise were on a break, and Mr. Eastham was a longtime friend of hers, and also a shoulder to cry on when she felt sad. I guess we know where that ended up.
So, Mr. Eastham, was this the one and only time you were intimate with Ms.
No.
No.
We used to be together for there, like when me and Josh would split up.
Wow. 2 months after their child was born is crazy. Mr. Wise says that he got to find out that Ms. Ray had been kicking it in bed with Mr. Eastham just 2 months after their child was born. You can see it in his face that he's devastated by the whole thing.
We had them 2 nights that we had partied together, and we do not know what happened. Neither one of us. We've had multiple conversations about it, and I was honestly to death to tell Josh because we had twins that passed away.
Looks like she's actually serious. Ms. Ray actually doesn't remember if she had sexual intercourse with Mr. Eastham the day they went partying. Man, this has to be the worst situation any man can find themselves in. I would lose my mind if I were to be in Mr. Wise's shoes.
Mr. Wise, I need you to speak a little louder. You said he also...
He did favor
He did look
Gabe.
like Gabe.
He did.
You believe he looks like Mr. Eastham?
Your Honor, until he got a little bit older.
That's definitely a problem. Now, Mr. Wise says that when the child was much younger, he looked like Mr. Eastham. But as the child grew and is much older, he now looks like Mr. Wise. Even Ms. Ray agrees with the fact that the baby looks like Mr. Wise at the moment.
That's not true, Your Honor.
That is true.
Tell me about the relationship you've developed with Jordan.
I've done everything a father should do for that boy.
I can't be the only one who senses a fight coming up. Mr. Wise says that the child calls him daddy almost all the time. Mr. Eastham also says that the child has called him a daddy multiple times. And he believes that he is the father of the child. I blame Ms. Ray for all of this.
I'm just trying to.
I feel like since day one you've tried to hold that 5% possibility in Jordan's dad over my head.
Let me say this. Have I skipped out? Have I been MIA for months?
At least she has made it clear, and she is standing on business. Ms. Ray says that the only reason that they are being good fathers is because they want to be with her. Well, she has made it clear that she doesn't want any of them. All she wants is to be there for her son.
It would crush me. It would crush Jordan. And I don't even know what I would tell Jordan.
Why you been playing games for?
Types of games. What types
I don't
of
know
games,
what you
Mr.
mean.
Eastham?
Okay, if they're talking about trying to get their family and all that.
Oh, that's a new truth bomb. Ms. Ray confesses and says that Mr. Eastham has tried to ruin her relationship with Mr. Wise for as long as she can remember. She even says that he sends Mr. Wise messages that indicate that he and Miss Ray had sex just to make him jealous. Wow.
A lot of times it wasn't. There was times, yeah, when me and Josh split up that, yeah, I did get with you.
So Mr. Eastham wanted to sabotage their relationship and you didn't want it to work.
That's a lie.
Now it all makes perfect sense. Apparently, Mr. Eastham did not just want to be a best friend to Ms. Ray, he wanted to be her boyfriend, and the fact that he saw her with Mr. Wise did not make him happy. He wanted to be more than a best friend, and that's why he made moves to ruin their relationship. Damn.
It was right after I told him there was a possibility.
Like, you remember when
Like
you sent me that text that said, I just want you to see your mini you? You remember that?
You look like you, and I acknowledged when you showed your pictures.
I mean, you can't argue with that. Mr. Wise is upset that Mr. Eastham tried to ruin his relationship with Ms. Ray multiple times. But if we're being honest, if Ms. Ray was happy in her relationship with Mr. Wise, she wouldn't have any business kicking it in bed with Mr. Eastham.
Over here and over there and over here and over there and up there and down here and all that.
No, don't make me sound like I'm no hoe that...
But there's, you know...
Yeah. Okay, then...
I love the fact that she's being real. Seems like the only reason she's in the courtroom is to clear the air so everyone can have their peace of mind. Well, let's help them settle that. The results are in, and it's time for us to find out the truth. Who is the father of the child?
When it comes to 2-year-old Jordan and whether Mr. Wise or Mr. Eastham is his biological father, Mr. Wise.
A family of 4 appears in Judge Lauren's courtroom in what seems to be a case of betrayal and infidelity. The husband, Mr. Jaramillo, alleges that their 2 daughters, 8-month-old Alexis and 4-year-old Naviana, are not his. The wife, Mrs. Stremke, is adamant with her claims that he is the father of their daughters.
Ms. Stremke, you've dragged Mr. Jaramillo to court in hopes of saving your family, which you claim is falling apart due to paternity denial. You say the defendant doubts paternity for both of your daughters, 4-year-old Naviana and 8-month-old Alexis, but you want to prove that he is their father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The lovers spat to the utmost dismay of Judge Lauren was happening right in front of the kids, with the 4-year-old Naviana, who was confirmed by both parents as being a smart kid, picking up some cues, which left the poor child wondering who her real father is, further driving a wedge into the cracks.
Part because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to. We didn't have both parents, and even when we did have both parents present at different times, we were denied. I feel like they can't trust their dad because he denies that he's their dad half the time. And my 4-year-old Naviana knows. She can hear the, well, I'm not her dad anyway.
Mrs. Stremke almost broke down in tears as she narrated how they met at the tender age of 13 in a lockup facility. Apparently, they both had rough childhoods growing up, and she's trying her very best to give her daughters something different.
It's on the line now?
Yes.
How did it begin?
We met very young. I was 13. We met in a lockup facility we were both staying at. We had no choice. We didn't have good childhoods at all, so we had to stay there. I see it now, and I don't want it to go down that road to where they have to go through what we did. And it's Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
The plot thickens as the circumstances surrounding her first pregnancy are brought to light. There were several men in the picture, one whom she had a son for before reuniting with Mr. Jaramillo when she returned to Iowa, and another whom she slept with 3 weeks before coupling up with Jaramillo.
13 years old. He said that I was gonna, be his baby's mom a long time ago. And it's hurtful now that, yes, I am your daughter's mom. And it just gets shoved under a rug and forgotten about because he doesn't feel that those are his kids. I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up...
One of her closest friends went behind her back and snitched to Mr. Jaramillo that Mrs. Stremke had been sleeping around with numerous men, and the pregnancy was not his. This led to the doubt Mr. Jaramillo had about the daughters.
She called and decided to tell him that I was sleeping with multiple men. And from that point on, he had doubted it, which I really don't understand because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke had...
The birth certificate of Naviana, which was presented in the courtroom, shows that Mr. Jaramillo fully accepted that he was father, which he later chalked up as a spur-of-the-moment decision as he was happy then, but eventually the resentment concerning her paternity started seeping in.
The biggest sign was cigarettes. Anybody that had smoked and came back in anywhere around me, I'd instantly throw up. And that's how I know really early on.
But what I want you to understand is that, he gets this call and somebody says, this is not your baby, this is the person she was with before you.
Yes.
It's his baby.
The wife revealed that she was perfectly okay with having one child at the time. The husband was pressuring her for another child, a male child. She ultimately caved into his demands and they decided to spice up their sex life by having a threesome. To top it off, he even brought his own male friend to participate in the second threesome. Even Judge Lauren was bewildered.
That's the part that is the hardest for me to believe because I was done having kids. After I had a boy and I had a girl, I didn't want any more. I pushed my luck. I have a boy, a girl, they're both amazing kids. And there was a point in time where the whole paternity of Naviana was not brought up and he was practically begging me for another child.
No protection was used during the threesome. The entire courtroom heaved out a huge sigh. Judge Lauren shook her head in disbelief. 3 weeks later, she was pregnant with their second daughter, Alexis. He said he takes full responsibility for the mishap. When Alexis was born, he didn't sign the birth certificate. He felt considering what happened, leading to the pregnancy, that there was no need. He also added that Alexis looks like his buddy.
We ended up having a female-female threesome with him, so he got to pick another woman, and it was what it was. We did it, and then it was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you. So I said, okay, all right, that's fine. It's something new.
The wife and the husband have been calm throughout the whole hearing. This was commended by the judge, but neither of them is ready to concede to the other. Only the DNA results can put an end to this. The moment of truth.
Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
A middle-aged woman, Venus, 56 years old, comes to Judge Lauren's courtroom to defend her deceased son. He died from a violent gun crime. His name was Dominique. The accuser, in the shape of Amber, 21 years old, says Venus's deceased son is the father of her child, and she's here to prove it.
Ms. Mangrum, you're here today after losing your son to a violent crime. You say the defendant, Ms. Schools, is claiming your deceased son is her child's father, which you say is impossible.
Yeah.
Ms. Schools, you say you have no doubt that Mr. Mangrum fathered your child, and today you will prove it to his family. How did you find out about Ms. Schools' pregnancy,
Mrs. Venus said she was made aware of the pregnancy on the day her son died. Amber approached her at the hospital and told her that her son is the father. Amber countered her statement. She said she messaged Venus on Facebook first, before approaching her at the hospital.
That I didn't want to hear. No time. No, I just didn't want it.
So, Miss Schools, is that how it happened?
No, it's not. I actually wrote her on Facebook and told her, I was like, hey, Miss Venus, my name is Amber. I'm actually downstairs. I was like, I don't know if Dominique told you or not, but I'm actually 3 months pregnant with his baby. I was like, I'm downstairs in the hospital.
Amber said she was very emotional upon seeing him hooked up to tubes and machines in the hospital. Venus rubbed her back, that everything will be okay. Venus interrupted her. That was not how it happened. She didn't remember any of that. She was too overwhelmed with her son's condition to care.
Be okay, don't worry.
No, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, no. That did not.
That didn't happen.
So sorry. No, I don't remember none of that. Now, the Facebook thing, okay, came after Dominique was already gone.
Right, but you got it.
And
you told me you got it.
And I wrote you back.
Venus said that before her son died, he told her that about 4 girls were claiming they were pregnant for him. She was acquainted with 2 of the girls, but she never heard of Amber.
I did not care.
I
Who would
understand
look
you.
like
Yes, I
touching
do.
her? My son told me several times, okay, that there is about 3 or 4 girls who say they pregnant by him. Now, I knew about 2 of the girls, okay? I knew about 2 of the girls, but I never met Amber.
Amber said during the pregnancy she kept Venus updated with everything, including baby showers. Venus responded positively with prayers and promised to come visit her at the hospital, which she did. Venus said she picked the baby up and immediately knew her son was not the father. She knew from the baby's hair.
Where he sent me little forwarded messages off Facebook with prayers and stuff, telling me she loved me and, you know, she's coming to the hospital to see me and my baby and stuff like that. And she came and saw my baby for about a couple minutes. She came and sat there like the second day I had my daughter. She came to the hospital.
Venus said she was tired of Amber bringing up the issue, that she needed no reminder of her late son's face, that the only reason she was in the courtroom was to put the matter to bed once and for all. She was screaming at this point. A heated argument broke out. Judge Lauren had to use the gavel to bring them to order.
Beautiful hair. Beautiful.
All Mangrum babies had a head full of hair when they were born. Every last one of them. You know, Amber, I apologize, you know, but I honestly did not want the baby to be his baby.
Why is that?
I did not, because I did not. Mine is of my baby.
With glistened eyes, Venus narrated how she dealt with her son's demise by avoiding his Facebook. The judge reminded her that a beautiful baby was in court today. Amber iterated that only Dominique's father was kind to her. This prompted the judge to call Dominique's father to the stand to give his own version of events.
He did so much to me, like words, verbally. It was.
Miss Scholes, I have to say this. I don't think you were trying to do anything malicious. I just think, unfortunately, this mother at that time could not process it all. Now her husband, Dominique's father.
The father said he was aware of Amber's pregnancy because Dominique introduced her to him. Venus interrupted that she was not aware. When did this happen? He said he's not here to argue, that he's sticking with what his son told him. Venus said she doesn't believe it, that a DNA test was initially done, which came back negative.
It is. It's just a fight, you know what I'm saying? Between them, and it's like, I don't want to be in the middle of it. However it goes, I would still like to be around.
DNA was taken from Dominique's body after the day he passed away. The documents were presented to the judge. Amber said since it was blood transfusion, it could be wrong. Venus interjected that Amber was living with another man at the time. Amber said she wanted to undergo a DNA test then to determine who the father was. At this point, only the new results can tell.
When it comes to 18-month-old Dominique Samaya Mangrum is not related to Andre and Venus Mangrum.
Mr. House, a 48-years-old bishop, appears in Judge Lauren's courtroom, being accused by Ms. Webster, a 20-years-old woman, of being the father of her child. It was made known by the judge that Ms. Webster was involved with 3 men at the time. One of them, who is 9 years older than her, was waiting outside the courtroom.
Mr. House, you're a church pastor and bishop who may have fathered a child with a woman who's 28 years younger than you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Webster, you admit you were involved with 3 different men during the time you conceived your daughter, including Mr. House.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. House met Ms. Webster when he took on a new assignment in New York. They hit it off immediately, bonding over tragedies. He never for once assumed they were in a committed relationship.
I had in Jacksonville, moving to Buffalo, New York, take on a new assignment as a pastor. I'm a bishop, but I'm also a traveling pastor. But I'm also a man. I want to stress that right away, that I'm a man and I have manly needs. So it doesn't mean that I won't see a woman, but I'm also a pastor.
Ms. Webster said she met Mr. House through her aunt. It was supposed to be a Bible study, but one thing led to another and it became sexual. Mr. House interrupted her. He said they met at a fast food joint and exchanged numbers. Ms. Webster refuted the statement that it was at church.
We could probably, make a relationship and go a little bit further as time went along.
So, Ms. Webster, please tell us a little bit about the relationship as you saw it.
We met through my aunt. We met at a church. It was supposed to have been like a Bible study thing, but instead of that, it was like more.
Judge Lauren had to step in to refrain the bishop from calling Ms. Webster derogatory names. The bishop said it was just a hookup, a booty call. The courtroom gasped. Ms. Webster agreed that it was just a casual relationship, nothing more. She said she was also sleeping with her boyfriend of 5 years at the same time, Mr. Miles Jones.
Well, in Hosea chapter 4, God called Gomer a whore.
Well, we're not in Hosea chapter 4. We in paternity court, and I'm the judge, and in this courtroom, we're going to respect women. Now, you can tell the story without calling her name.
Mr. Miles was called to the stands. He said his relationship with Ms. Webster started off casual before becoming a committed one. He said he was not aware that she was sleeping with other men at the time. The judge said it seems only Ms. Webster was aware of both men. She nodded in agreement.
Andre Miles Jones.
Mr. Miles Jones. All right, we are here with Ms. Webster, and of course we are discussing the paternity as it relates to little Emilion.
Yes.
So was this a relationship or was this just casual sex? What were you guys doing?
It was, at first it started off as casual sex for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then I started catching feelings.
When Ms. Webster found out she was pregnant, she tried contacting the bishop. His phone was off. When she gave birth, she couldn't reach him for any support. Mr. Miles said he had to provide the child with diapers and stuff.
I did. You know, she'll tell you that her phone was off. Your phone went on. My bankroll's on swole, and I kept hers on swole as well, too.
Never. My phone bill was off for 2 months.
I'm sure glad your bankroll is on swole for baby Emilion, just in case you end up being the father.
The bishop said he never knew about pregnancy. He only found out about 30 days ago through her aunt, and he came right away.
I just found out less than 30 days ago at the most that she had a baby. Her auntie called my superiors in my organization, and I got a phone call saying there's some woman saying that you left her with child in New York. I made the phone call, and I was told 30 days ago, just 30 days ago.
Mr. Miles said he found out about the pregnancy after 5 to 6 months, and she told him he was the father. Ms. Webster said she told Miles there was a possibility he was the father. The bishop jumped in and said that this was why he had doubts about the paternity of the child. The courtroom clapped.
Really? I said, how long? She was like, I'm about 5 to 6 months. I said, so you trying to tell me that it's mine? She said
5 to 6 months before you told him?
Well, I was 4 to 5 years.
I didn't know at all.
So when you told him, I'm pregnant, did you then tell him, and you're the father?
No, I told him it's a possibility that he can be my baby's father.
Ms. Webster presented a birth certificate. Nobody was listed as the father, but she gave the baby Miles's last name. The bishop said if she was happy with Miles, why did she contact him? She said she had to make sure who the father is, and she's ready to find out. And she was not alone in that regard. Only the DNA results from the court can clear this. Show results.
Mr. Miles Jones, you are not her father. Mr. House, it has been determined by this court that you are not her father.
Mr. Alexander is trying to legally remove his name from the birth certificate of the child of his ex-girlfriend, Ms. Stewart, because he believes he's not the father of the child. Ms. Stewart believes otherwise, that the negligence of Mr. Alexander has left her and her kids homeless.
Mr. Alexander, you are suing your ex-girlfriend for $40 for the cost of the administration fee to legally remove your name from her 4-month-old daughter, Jariah's birth certificate, because there is absolutely no way you are her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Alexander stated his reasons for trying to determine paternity, that Ms. Stewart was having an affair with another man. His name was Dexter, that she was also keeping late nights, and this was during the window of her conception.
Text messages and several phone calls from this guy named Dexter. She wouldn't answer the phone when I was in the room. I guess she would wait until maybe I left or whatever, so that's kind of a suspicion for me.
So you saw text messages coming in on her phone?
Right.
But you never questioned her about it?
Yeah, I asked her about it, and she told me, like, don't worry about it, like, basically, like, it's none of my business.
Ms. Buse Stewart disagreed, that she didn't even tell him about the pregnancy till about 2.5 months later. They were going through a rough patch. Mr. Alexander said they were on a 3-month break when he learned about the pregnancy.
That's why I'm in doubt, too.
Because this was during the window of conception.
Right.
So you feel like she was cheating on you during the time Jariah was conceived.
Correct.
Is that true, Ms. Stewart?
No, Your Honor, it is not. And I'm not even sure why he denies. I mean, I didn't tell him.
Ms. Stewart said they were still having sex together during the break, and she wasn't cheating on him. She was suspicious of Mr. Alexander that he was the one cheating on her. She even put a tracking device on his phone and discovered that he was in fact cheating.
I don't understand how he doesn't say that. Every time we're on a break, it's not necessarily a break because we still have sex, so it's not really a break.
So, were you cheating?
No, Your Honor, I was not. Let me tell you what happened. So, I started feeling that he was cheating on me.
She submitted the evidence to Judge Lauren. It was displayed on the monitor and read aloud to the entire courtroom. Mr. Alexander denied it, that the messages weren't his.
That is when he was gone. He told me that he was at his aunt's house, and obviously you can see there he's talking to a girl right there.
So at 7:08 p.m., his phone got a text from a number that's not yours that says, I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yeah.
Ms. Stewart came clean that she was only pretending to be talking to a man named Dexter to get back at Mr. Alexander. Dexter was her female friend. She only changed the name. She never cheated on him.
Anybody
else's fine booty.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So, Miss Stewart, I'm trying to understand what this all has to do with Dexter. Because if we're being completely honest, even if this is his phone log and he was going after someone else or dating someone else or cheating, that would not have anything to do with the paternity of Jariah.
Mr. Alexander brought out his sister as a witness. She was also friends with Miss Stewart for about 15 years now. She said Dexter was a real man, that Miss Stewart was really seeing him, and they've gone out to meet other guys together before. Miss Stewart denied all the allegations.
Stewart and I have been friends for over 15 years, and we've always talked and told each other secrets about, you know, having backup plans as far as if you have a boyfriend, keeping one on the side for when your boyfriend makes you mad, you can, you know, just go talk to other guys or whatever. So as far as this guy goes, it's not a hoax. They actually hang out all the time.
Mr. Alexander said during a previous argument, Ms. Stewart had told him that the baby was not his. The judge confirmed the statement, and Ms. Stewart agreed. She said it only happened once. She said she only wished it wasn't his baby so that they would go their separate ways.
Recently, yes, we have. They just had a little break also, and she thought he was cheating, so we went out to go hang out with guys.
She's also told me several times that when we be in the heat of an argument, that the baby's not mine. So
I said that one time.
Therefore, I have doubt.
Ms. Stewart has been shouldering the burden of raising the child on her own. Mr. Alexander said he cannot take care of a baby that he's not sure of. He's a good father to their first child, but not the second one. Only the DNA results can save the child from neglect at this point.
Mr. Alexander, you are her father.
Brandon, after a 12 years relationship with Ms. Fuller, got a shocker when she confessed that their 3-year-old son may not be his biological child. He broke off his engagement to her, and he's struggling with the possibility of losing his son. Ms. Fuller said she was having an affair with another man at the time. She hid this from Brandon.
3-year-old son Brandon Jr. may not be your biological child. Now you say your engagement to Ms. Fuller is broken off and your heart is in ruins because of the possibility you may now lose your son too.
Yes, Your Honor.
Brandon said they got separated when the baby was 6 months old because they had to move. He took the baby to a birthday party. When he returned the child, Ms. Fuller wasn't home and she wasn't answering her calls. This went on for days.
Had to separate because we had to move.
So you all were in a relationship.
We were in a relationship.
Baby was what? Born.
Yep. And we were living together.
6 months in.
6 months in, we had to move. We fell on some hard times.
Okay.
Respectively, I moved back to my mom's.
A week later, Brandon started receiving calls from a private number. It was Ms. Fuller. She had gone to spend the week with the man she actually thought was the biological father of the baby. She requested for a face-to-face meeting with Brandon.
He asked you on the phone, or he said, meet me and I want to talk about this?
He asked me on the phone. He was mad at me and he was upset. He was wondering where we had been that whole week. And,
where were you that whole week?
I had left to go be with the guy that I thought.
Ms. Fuller presented a picture of the other man, that the baby started looking like him. That's why she disappeared. She was feeling guilty. She didn't want to lie to Brandon.
Why would you just disappear? Where did you go?
He started looking like the other guy to me when he was 6 months. I have a picture. To
so
me, he just didn't look.
Okay, now
he didn't look like neither one. He didn't look like he didn't look like neither one of us to me at the time.
Brandon presented pictures to the judge, showing how close he was to the child. He was there for the kid as a father would. He cared for the child and fed him. The kid even has his last name. He never had any doubt that he was the father.
This baby is named after you.
Oh yeah.
It's your son.
Sleeping on my chest at night, just everything. I barely move. I mean, you know, like I would sleep like this, real quiet, real.
He discovered her infidelity when she forgot to log out from her Facebook account after using his phone. He saw the messages in the inbox, and one of them stood out. She told the other man that the child doesn't look like Brandon and she needs his help.
I was on my way to some bad things. When he was born, it's just like, I gotta stop.
Brandon Jr. is 3 now.
3.
So you spent the next 2.5 years continuing.
Yeah.
To bond.
Yeah. And then we had a falling out, like serious falling out. She got on social media on my phone, okay, but didn't close it.
This led to a long and heated argument between the couples. The neighbors had to call the cops for domestic disturbance.
It did.
So what happened?
I got upset, okay? Well, actually, I sat down on the couch at first. I was like, So I handed her the phone. I was like, read this. So she reading it, you know. She kind of got a little look on her face or whatever. And I got up after that. And I went to the washer. And I started taking...
Ms. Fuller said she had been in an on and off relationship with the other man for about 8 years. years, till when she had her baby. This left the entire courtroom in disbelief. She presented a calendar chart to the judge showing the timeline of her relationships with both men. She said she wasn't supposed to have a child, that her child was a miracle baby.
It was off and on for about 8 years or whatever. Around the time
It went on for how long?
it was like 8 years off and on, but it wasn't like
8 years off and on?
Yes.
Oh, until what time?
Brandon never knew another man was ever in the picture. He had no clue. Ms. Fuller, with tears in her eyes, apologized to Brandon, that Brandon was the perfect man to raise her child and not the other man. Brandon said she was the one that broke off the engagement and there might be no coming back. Only the DNA results can settle this squabble at this moment.
Mr. Brandon Robinson Sr.
Judge Lauren's courtroom in what appears to be a case of betrayal. She claims she gave Ms. Perry shelter when she had nowhere else to go, and she started having an affair with her son under her roof. Now Ms. Perry claims her son is the father of her child.
You have a friend, Ms. Perry, of a paternity test, taking Miss Go sleep on names.
Yes. I knew I'd being a Christian helper. Yes.
Ms. Francois said she met Ms. Perry at a church picnic where she learned of her predicament. She decided to help her by providing food and shelter for her for free, and she betrayed her.
So you think she stabbed you in the back by sleeping with your son?
Oh, she did.
So, Ms. Perry, you see this differently.
Yes, I do.
You moved into her home and you accepted her help.
Contrary to what Ms. Francois
most
claims,
definitely,
Ms. Perry
'cause when
said
she
she was
came to me,
already
she
with her
came
son
to me
before
as
she
this
came to her
godly
house.
woman, and
She
I
said
took
that
it as
Ms.
a spiritual
Francois was
thing. I
aware
was
of this
down and out,
relationship.
and-
Ms. Francois gasped in shock, claiming she had no idea of such a relationship.
You were with her son how long before you moved in?
We were talking maybe about 2 or 3 weeks prior to that.
Not.
Were you there when we got together?
Excuse me, my kids tell
Ms.
me
Francio
everything,
said if
unlike
she had
you.
known about the
You're not my
relationship,
child.
she
So
wouldn't have
my
offered
kids
Ms.
tell me
Penny
anything,
free
they have nothing to
accommodation.
hold
Ms.
back.
Penny said she had been
Don't tell you
talking
that.
with the son
Whatever
2 to
what I
3
need
weeks
to know.
prior, that she was introduced as her son's girlfriend. Ms. Francois stared at her with disbelief.
Face she was on what planet or what? Because we wasn't together. I'm the one initiated it because
So how do
I
you think
didn't
we're a
know
cute
nothing.
couple if we're not together?
Excuse me, because I found out of your past.
A heated
Your
argument
past,
broke out
she-
between both
what
women.
did you
Ms.
find
Francois
out?
said
She's
part of the reason why
homosexual.
she's doubtful about Ms. Penny's claim was because of her
that was my
past.
past,
She was a
and I am
lesbian.
proud of
This
it.
all later came to light after she started living with them.
Suggesting that your children could somehow be harmed because Miss Perry is a lesbian seems incredibly far-fetched. You truly don't believe
Ms. Perry said she was upfront
No.
with Ms.
I
Francois
believe-
from
you
the
know
very
what I
start.
believe?
She told her
If
that her
she
son
wasn't
was the
honest
first
with
man
that,
she had
how
ever
can I
been with,
trust
that
her
she had
in my
raised a
home to
good
be
man.
honest with
Ms.
you?
Francois wasn't having any of that. Her
When you
facial
say you
expression was
spoke to her
filled with
about it,
disgust.
What do you recall saying?
We were sitting on your porch, and I got introduced to her as the girlfriend.
So you're doubting that this child is your son's based upon what?
It's just the point how she did everything.
Ms.
and she lied
Francois
about
said that
all
Ms.
the
Penny
other
has
stuff,
never
and
been
she's-
honest with
she's
her.
still
So how can she
lying
now
because
be
she
honest about
never
the
told me
paternity of the
that
child?
about her
That her lifestyle was a
situation.
thing to
I
be
had to
weary
find
of,
out
especially
from
when she
someone
tried to
else,
hit
like
on her.
my
Mrs.
daughter,
Penny said
about
nothing of that
her
nature
lifestyle,
happened, that she
and then
respected
she
her
hit on
as the
me.
mother of her boyfriend.
Thank you for joining us today. Tell us.
Okay,
You believe her child is your child?
Ms. Francois' son was called to the stand to give his account. He said he believed he's the father of the baby, but he couldn't sign the birth certificate because Ms. Penny was still legally married to her ex. Ms. Francois also said she told her son not to sign anything until he did the paternity
she was
test.
married and the whole legal situation with that.
Miss Mr. McCreary, you are the father.
Bam.
Ms. Francois said it's not the first time her son has been accused of getting women pregnant. It has happened 7 times. The son said it was a huge bone of contention at home, that he didn't want to get a DNA test, but Ms. Penny insisted they should because of his mother. Only the DNA result from Judge Lauren can bury the hatchet.
You've asked the court for time alone here before testimony begins to tell the court about your brother.
A sister, Ms. Gibson, appears in court to defend her dead brother against 3 women who claim he's the father of their respective kids. She's accompanied by her aunt, Ms. Pierce, who came to lend her support.
Women who all claimed he fathered their children. Circumstances surrounding you coming here today.
Okay. In October 2011, my father called me with a very devastating phone call.
Ms. Gibson narrated the gruesome story of how she lost her brother. With glistened eyes, she took several pauses because of the grief. She said the different women kept popping up after her brother's demise, claiming he was the father of their kids. She wants to find out the truth today.
My daughter's Zalayla.
And all 3 of you are here because you believe that GQ was the father of your children.
The 3 women were summoned into the courtroom, Rose, Robs, and Webb. Robs opened the floor by giving her account on how she met the brother. They were in a relationship, but he was constantly cheating on her, and she was fed up and decided to cheat on him too with her ex.
Around this time, I didn't tell him that I have had an affair with someone else.
Okay.
So everything was going good, and he had got incarcerated. So I ended up telling my ex that I was pregnant.
Robs got pregnant after the affair, but never told the brother she had an affair. The child took the name of her ex. This was confirmed by Ms. Gibson, hence the uncertainty concerning her paternity.
My baby father was gonna sleep with his son.
Woo! It's complicated now. Hold on, you gotta break this down for me, Ms. Webb.
You and me both.
One of your children's fathers was coming by to see.
Webb took the stand. She said she was also dating the brother before he died. They were neighbors. At the time, her baby daddy was still in the picture. The baby daddy usually comes around.
Night with binoculars looking through your window.
Oh, I get it. So your brother, that was just I'm gonna leave you alone with him and see what happens. So no, I don't want to be here. But he had in his mind, you know your brother and your nephew well. So he had in his mind, I'm gonna see what's going on.
A rumor started going around that Webb was sleeping with her baby daddy, that he was responsible for her pregnancy. That was the origin of the doubt concerning the paternity of the child.
The accident, like we weren't really supposed to have,
his brother.
But when I say it was all of us, we was like in the truck. We was in the truck. We
Rose took the stand to give her own story. She started crying. Ms. Gibson said she doesn't know anything about her, that she contacted her aunt, Ms. Pierce, via Facebook. Rose said she was in a relationship with someone else during the time of her pregnancy, her ex-boyfriend.
That's what you're saying, right? Okay.
Friend contacted me on Facebook.
The boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am. I guess the boyfriend that she was with when they accidentally slept together in the McDonald's parking lot in the van. And he told me that
Ms. Gibson said she started digging around after the ex-boyfriend contacted her. She discovered there were other baby daddies in Rose's life. This made her doubtful about her claims that her brother was the father of the child.
That Mr. Gibson is her father.
Ms. Gibson said she was most doubtful about Rose's kid because of her promiscuity. The judge and the audience couldn't wait any longer. Only the DNA results can determine the real father of these kids.
Ms. Robinson, you are suing your mother for paternity fraud and are here to prove that Mr. Moore is your biological father.
Daughter, 36 years old, Ms. Robinson brings her own mother, Ms. Harms, to court in a case of birth certificate forgery, angrily confronting her for denying her the privilege of knowing who her real father was. Mrs. Harms says the claim is outrageous.
egregious.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you plan to prove that today.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I don't feel that I'm the one that waited the 36 years. I feel that my mom waited 36 years to help me find who my father is. And I have always, tried to ask
Ms.
her
Robinson said
about
she
my
had always
father. I
tried
guess it
asking
was
her
part of
mother about her
past she didn't
father,
just
but
wanna
to no
bring up,
avail.
so it always
Ms.
got
Harms
pushed to the back
interjected that she had
burner, or I
always
was
told her
told,
who her
get the
real
hell out of
father
her face,
was.
leave
Ms.
her
Robinson
alone.
said she looked nothing like the man. Her mom said it doesn't matter.
For some reason, she was nervous.
It wasn't that I was nervous. I just didn't want to come here at that time to listen to any more of their lies.
Yeah, nobody wanted to deal with the past, but I'm the past.
Because
I need a
Ms.
dad.
Harms, in your mind, you're
Ms.
saying,
Harms
I
said
know
she has
who your
always been
father is,
honest
and
with
I
her
already
daughter.
told you.
Yes, ma'am. I had already moved on.
The daughter didn't agree.
He is
She
not
said they
your
were
father.
even supposed to appear in court 3 weeks earlier, but her mom was nervous. The mom said she's lying.
Rumors in the small town we're from in Arkansas, everybody says that this man is my dad. He's always came to me and said he's my dad.
Really?
But the thing was, I was always being sent with the other
Ms.
man.
Robinson
So
said she
if
heard a
I'm
lot
being-
of rumors from where they came from that the man who was outside the courtroom,
Yes, I
Mr. Moore,
with
was her
another
real
man.
dad.
To
A heated
another
argument
man.
broke
No,
between her and her
you
mom.
were
The
not.
mom
That
said the
is a
rumors
lie,
are
Your
false.
Honor.
So I want to understand this. You were told specifically, Mr. Moore is not your father.
Yes, by my mother.
Did you ask the question? How did this come up?
She had just told me one day, because, I used to go back and forth from Michigan to Arkansas. So I guess she felt that if I went down to Arkansas, I might
Ms.
see.
Robinson
Your
said
Honor,
her
she
mom
came to me
specifically
and
told her
told
while
me
growing up that Mr.
if
Moore
a
wasn't her
Vernon
real dad.
ever came to you and told you that he was your dad,
Her mom shook her head in disagreement.
And say in this courtroom, when people say to me, I did not have my father and I felt like there was a missing piece,
and it really
I say it because I have had my father, and he is loving and kind and my #1 fan, and I could not imagine my life without him in it.
that's all I want.
And when you say I never had that,
Ms.
I
Harms
feel
said the
for you
judge
because
shouldn't
I know
believe what her
you're
daughter is
missing.
saying, that the daughter and Mr. Moore are compulsive liars.
Okay.
First I have
gray hair,
a birth certificate.
This is a
Ms.
birth
Robinson
certificate,
submitted
you
her birth
said?
Yeah, that was
certificate
my
as evidence to
original
the court. The
birth certificate right
signature
there.
on the father's side was very
it
neat,
has a
unlike the
signature.
one of her
Now,
mother's.
when I
When
looked
she
at
requested
that,
for
I
a new
seen
birth
that the signature
certificate
looked
because
new.
of an
It didn't
ID
look as old
application
as
she
my
was
mom's
doing, she
signature
discovered
on it.
there
But
was
I'm a
no
kid,
father's
so I went
signature.
along with
That
it.
was when it
Last
dawned
year,
on
I
her
needed
that
to get
her
a new
mother
ID.
forged the signature.
Me and Mr. Moore.
You on the left and Mr. Moore on the right.
And I also have another picture of our nose, Your Honor, when I was younger.
Oh, Lord.
This is
'Cause I had
side by
pictures of
side.
everybody. Every time
Ms.
I look
Robinson
in the mirror,
also
ever since I
submitted
looked at his
pictures
pictures,
showing her
I feel
resemblance
like
with
Mr.
Mr.
Moore
Moore.
wig
The
on.
pictures
So
were
if
displayed
that
on the
ain't what it
screen for
is, I
everyone
need to
to
be
see.
proved
She
wrong
also
today.
stated that Mr. Moore has premature gray hair, just like her. Another picture showing the similarities of their noses was displayed.
Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
Mr. Moore was called to the courtroom. He said he was in a
Who is my
sexual
daddy?
teenage relationship with Ms. Harms before she got pregnant. Ms. Harms said he's lying. Mr. Moore said he had always believed that he was the father, and he tried being involved in her life, but he wasn't allowed. Only the DNA results can settle this decades-long family feud. Show results.
Ms. Lusk, you and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter,
A grieving
Samari's
mother, Ms. Page,
biological
drags a
father
young
is.
woman, Ms.
Yes,
Lusk,
Your Honor.
to court who claims her deceased
the man
son
you
is the
claim
father
is
of
her
her
father
3
has
years old
died,
daughter.
and
Ms. Page
now
claims
you
Ms.
find
Lusk is
yourself
lying
facing
because she
off
wants to
against
cash
his
in from her
mother, who
son's
is
life
just
insurance
as
policy,
convinced
which was
that
worth
she is not her daughter's
$50,000.
grandmother.
Yes, Your Honor.
your daughter?
It's been more than extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school.
Ms. Lusk said she got pregnant when she was 16 years old, that she raised her daughter alone, that she never got any assistance from Ms. Page. Ms. Page interrupted her and a heated argument broke out. With raised voices, they exchanged words. Judge Lauren had to calm both parties down.
I had insurance on my son. I had an insurance policy. They're out
that we knew nothing about.
Let her
speak. Nothing about.
Unless it's
Ms. Lusk
proven,
said she had been trying to get a DNA test for the past 3 years. Ms. Page said Ms. Lusk only wanted a portion of the insurance policy, $50,000, and she never met her. Ms. Lusk said they've met before when she came to see her son, and she didn't know anything about the life insurance policy.
Same time, this was my first time meeting you, Miss Page. Her exact words were, "You look like his type. You're very pretty, very small."
Miss Lusk and Miss Anderson, my son didn't have a particular type. He was in a
Ms. Page said her son was in a committed relationship before he died, and it was not with Ms. Lusk. She said another woman had come forth earlier, claiming her son was the father of her child, and the DNA result came back negative.
Facebook or something like that.
No, ma'am. So please respond, Ms. Anderson. How do you know what happened?
I contacted Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call me. She called me, and that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by
Ms.
her
Lusk's
son.
mother, who was also present in court, said she was the one that contacted Ms. Page when her daughter got pregnant on Facebook, that she never got a positive response from her.
The stroller.
What led up to that, Miss Page?
Hold on, one at a time. I know anything about a stroller because I'm not providing a stroller for a child.
When the baby was born, Ms. Page was not allowed any visitation rights because of what she had posted on Facebook concerning the paternity of the child, that the child should not be named after her son. The birth certificate presented to the court showed that the child was still named after her son.
When I laid down and was intimate with him.
No,
that's permission.
It's not been
that's
proven.
Permission.
It's not been proven.
But it will be today.
You're not
but it will be today. You're absolutely correct. I don't have to be, and you're not either.
A quarrel broke between the three women. Apparently, they've been in constant communication with one another since the birth of the child. Both parties resented each other. The only thing holding them together was the baby, which Ms. Page is adamant doesn't belong to her late son.
Now, the animosity you all have built up, that is because you've handled the situation inappropriately. A situation this delicate.
Ms. Page said she asked people around, family members and relatives, including the friends of her late son, and none of them knew Ms. Lusk. Ms. Lusk said she was not aware the son was in another relationship until after he died. She found out on social media. It came as a shock to her.
The probability of relatedness between Ms. Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
Ms. Lusk said she couldn't even attend the funeral, that Ms. Page was mean to her, slandering her on Facebook and calling her premature daughter ugly. Ms. Page didn't hold back. She repeated her statement in the courtroom to the dismay of everyone present. Only the DNA results can stop this squabble.
Curtis, you have brought your mother, Ms. Hall, court today because you say she hid the identity of your
A daughter,
father
Ms. Curtis, brings her mother, Ms. Hall, to court for deceiving her for 14 years about the identity of her real father. Ms. Hall tells her that the man waiting outside the courtroom could be her biological father, but she's doubtful about it. Ms. Hall admits to deceiving her daughter for years.
has been lying to me for the past years of my life, which was time was 14 years old, and that the man at the time was not my father. She said to me, I want you to take
Ms.
it to
Curtis
your
said
grave
she
if
learned
your
the
mother
truth from her
never owns up
grandmother,
and
who
tells
sat her
you
down
yourself.
and told her
I said,
who her
okay.
real
And
biological
I felt
father
that it
was.
the
She
truth
said
because
she
I
always
felt
felt
like
she
I
was adopted because
My
the man
father,
her
he
mother said
really-
was her real father at the time never showed her any affection. There was no bond between both of them.
Kirk lived pretty much like a fast lifestyle. Okay. And, you know, which attracted me to him. And being young, at the time when I got pregnant, I didn't even know
Ms.
that I
Hall
was
said she
pregnant,
never
'cause I didn't
told
know
her
anything
daughter about her
the body.
father
You didn't
because
know
she
what
got
it meant.
pregnant
You
at
were
the
just
age
so
of 15
young.
years.
Yes. And
She
then
was
what
young
happened?
and scared.
About a month
She didn't know
passed by,
anything
and
about the
I would
female
say
body.
I started,
That was when she
my
met
psych-
Kirk,
and I was like, oh.
before meeting the man whom she told her daughter was her father.
What your grandmother said. What did she tell you?
She began to tell me her own version of the story about who my alleged father at the time. She
Ms.
said
Curtis said when she
he's
confronted
not
her
really
mother
your
after
dad,
speaking with her
baby. And I said,
grandmother,
okay,
she
I
told her
already
a
know
different
that. My
version
man
of
already
events.
told me.
She told her that the
me
man at
another
home with
name. She
them
didn't tell
wasn't
me
her
Kirk's
real
name. She gave
father.
me
Ms. Curtis
another
told her
name.
that
So I
she was
said, oh, I'm
already
so
aware
happy.
that
I'm
her
gonna call
grandmother
Hannah, and
told
I'm
her.
gonna tell
Her mom
her.
told her a different name entirely, and the name was not Kirk.
The time that I set forth for her was at the age of 16.
Ms. Hall said she wanted to tell her daughter the truth at the age of 16 on her own terms.
I was the one who took care of you.
That she was the one who raised her and took care of her. Ms. Curtis interjected that she didn't have a father growing up. Ms. Hall told her that it wasn't important. Ms. Curtis started crying that she missed out on a lot of things because of the lack of a father figure in her life.
Childhood life through me. She wanted me to do the things that she wasn't able to do. I didn't even go to the prom because I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to do anything.
Ms. Curtis, with tears in eyes, said her mother was trying to live her childhood through her. She wanted her to do what she couldn't. She never had a life of her own. She never went to the prom. Her mother interrupted her that she had no clue what she wanted. She was too young to know.
My heart dropped to my feet because I've been to the father-daughter dance. I could only imagine everybody getting ready at school and chattering, talking about the father-daughter dance, and you saying to yourself, well, I guess that's somewhere I can't go.
Well, actually, Your Honor,
Ms. Curtis said her mother told her never to ask her alleged father for any stuff, only her, so she never had any bond with the man. She was trying to isolate her because she didn't want her to discover that he wasn't her father at the time.
This is the first time she'll ever see the letter.
He does state he's willing to be the father she needs and deserves, and it's signed Kirk.
And Your Honor, I know you may not understand how I feel
Ms.
about
Curtis
this
submitted
right
a letter
here,
to the
but
court from
that's where
Kirk when he was
I
in
feel like
prison.
I
The letter
was
was written to her
deceived
mother.
because
She found the letter at home. Her mom had hidden it. In the letter, which was displayed for all to see,
that I
Kirk
have
said
set
he was
aside
willing
to
to be
do
the
the
father
right
she
thing.
deserved.
Mr. Whitaker, you are
Mr. Kirk was summoned to take the stand. He said he was doubtful about being the father of Ms. Curtis because Ms. Hall was also with another man when she said she was pregnant. Ms. Curtis, still teary-eyed, said, how can she believe any of them when they're not even sure themselves? That both of them are compulsive liars. There's too much doubt. Only the DNA result can solve this mystery.
Ms. Autry, you say the defendant is taking advantage of your son by pinning a baby on him, and you have physical proof
A mother, Ms.
that her
Autry, drags her
2-year-old daughter,
daughter-in-law,
Skyla,
Ms.
is
Martin,
not
to
your
court after
grandchild.
failing
That
to stop her
correct?
from
Yes,
getting
Your
married
Honor.
to her
Ms.
son.
Martin,
She's now trying to
claim
prove that her son is not the father
that the
of her
plaintiff
2 years
is a
old daughter. Ms. Martin claims Ms. Autry is a monster-in-law, and she's trying to sabotage her marriage with her son.
And hope to get some once the results are revealed.
Ms. Martin is taking advantage of your son?
Well, she entrapped my son by marrying him, by giving him things like money, clothes, cars.
Ms. Autry said Ms. Martin entrapped her son by giving him stuff like money and clothes while being a tramp. The judge had to refrain her from using derogatory words in the courtroom. Ms. Autry said she was doing all this because she wanted a man of her own, which was her son.
She's giving him money. Miss Autry, come on, let's be respectful.
I don't like her.
Why you want to look? You don't have to like her, but you can use respectful language.
Ms. Martin said she never entrapped her son, that her son was also buying stuff for her in return. Ms. Autry abruptly interjected and said that it was impossible for his son to be doing all that because he didn't have a job. He was at home all the time, that her son had no money.
Explain to me what's going on.
I got a phone call that she was getting married down the street from my house. So I got out of my bed and I started walking down the street to where she was getting married at.
Ms. Autry said her son didn't tell her he was getting married to Ms. Martin, but instead he decided to have a shotgun wedding without her knowledge. She heard the news from somebody else because her son knew she would have stopped it. She wanted to grace the wedding ceremony unannounced with the intention of crashing it, but the location was changed.
Friend sent me walking and she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "To stop this wedding." So she gave me a ride and she dropped me out. So I'm up there trying to stop the wedding.
Ms. Martin said they had to move the location of the wedding because of her mother-in-law, that she's crazy. The whole guest had to move because they were avoiding Ms. Autry. She is a renowned troublemaker, and they didn't want her to create a scene. She repeated again that she's crazy.
So you've never cared for Miss Martin?
It ain't so much as I never cared for Miss Martin. It's just that she has been very disrespectful from day one.
Ms. Autry said she never liked Ms. Martin and that she disrespected her when she came to her house. Ms. Martin said she disrespected her first, that she can only respect those that also respected her. Even at the hospital during the childbirth, Ms. Autry caused a scene saying that's not her son's baby.
To have.
She's
so
I know they haven't grew yet.
Baby.
I mean, they grew.
All right, let me see this evidence.
Like the baby's supposed to come out with full-blown eyebrows. You act like she's supposed to come out with full-blown eyebrows.
She do.
No, she does.
He did.
Ms. Autry said they called her Queen DNA because she always performs a DNA test on all her son's children, and that this was not her first rodeo with women claiming that her son is the father of their kids.
Look at the right foot.
State your name for the court.
Rebecca Cooper, Your Honor.
Miss Cooper, you are Miss Autry's daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at her eyebrows.
Ms. Cooper was called as a witness. She's Ms. Autry's daughter. She said she believed the child belongs to her brother. She has a very good bond with the child because she spends a lot of time with her sister-in-law, and there's no bad blood between them. Ms. Martin said if the son and the sister is okay with the child, why is Ms. Autry not okay with it?
Every week.
The biological father is Mr. Martin.
I'll take that for 200, Your Honor.
Mr. Gout was called to the stand. He was the ex-boyfriend to Ms. Autry's daughter. He claimed he had an affair with Ms. Martin, that he believed he was the father of the 2-year-old child. She said Ms. Martin told her once that there's a possibility he could be that father. Only the DNA results can stop this from turning into a fist fight. He was the father. But as the days wore on, doubt crept in. She had left him once, for another man. When she returned, Tony had taken her back. But the damage was done. Now, Tony was staring at a reality where Deja, his newborn daughter, might not be his at all.
Mr. Miller, you claim your girlfriend, Ms. Troutman, left you for another man.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
say that when she returned, you forgave her and quickly resumed your sexual relationship.
Yes.
Shortly after, she announced she was pregnant.
Miss Troutman didn't deny the affair. She admitted to it. In fact, she justified it. According to her, Tony wasn't taking care of her or their family. She felt neglected, abandoned, and emotionally distant. While she struggled to raise their daughter, Tony's mother had stepped in to play the role of caretaker, buying diapers, providing shelter, and supporting Miss Troutman when Tony could not. She wasn't just frustrated by Tony's lack of responsibility, she was furious at his mother's interference in their relationship.
Yes.
How did you end up in this situation?
Well, I wouldn't have been sleeping around with other men if he was doing his responsibility as a father and taking care of his girls and me also. He wasn't buying diapers, wipes, clothes. His mother was the man of our relationship. She took care of us.
And so, she sought comfort elsewhere. When Tony left town for just a week, she reconnected with another man. By the time Tony returned, she had moved on. And when he found her with another man holding their child, his world came crashing down.
Yes, we have a second child, Deja.
And you have doubts about number 2.
I do have doubts.
Why?
And I seen her with another guy at the plasma center. And he was holding my firstborn. I said, who's this guy holding my kid? And she said...
Now the stakes were higher than ever. Tony stood in the courtroom, his frustration building. As the case unfolded, the timeline of Miss Troutman's encounters with 3 different men was revealed. Miss Troutman admitted she had been intimate with the man, but she claimed that it was only after their breakup. Tony wasn't convinced.
Miss Troutman, you admit that during that time, you were intimate with another man.
Yes.
And during that time, were you intimate with anyone else?
No. Well, yes, I was when me and him, I'm sorry.
Really?
Yes, I was. When,
Although Tony was hurt that the plasma guy had had his daughter on his hand, he was about to learn a new kind of hurt. Miss Troutman continued with her story, but the judge can't help but wonder how she does it.
I ran out the house, slipped on a banana peel, and landed in the bed with somebody else.
No, that is not what happened.
I'm trying to figure out how this
That's not what happened, no.
leads up.
Miss Troutman wasn't about to stay silent. She brought calendar evidence to back up her claims, each event color-coded and carefully documented. Meanwhile, Tony held on to a fragile hope that, despite everything, he might still be Deja's father.
So you have a February calendar laid out so we can understand what all was going on. In yellow, we have the dates you were with the chat line guy.
Yes, ma'am.
The green outlines the dates you were with the guy at the plasma center.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge was appalled by their behavior. She reminded them both that they were parents, and parents had responsibilities. Irresponsibility, no matter how hard the circumstances, was not an excuse. For allowing the dysfunction of their relationship to overshadow the needs of the children, Judge Lauren lashed out at them.
This relationship is now in jeopardy because of choices you both made. Immature choices. We're not just talking about Deja. You have another child together.
Yes.
Tony's mother offered a perspective of her own. As a grandmother, she had watched the child grow and could not help but feel a deep connection to her. She, too, had wondered if the child looked more like someone else, someone other than Tony.
And I seen that guy. Deja looks just like him. I wanted to believe her because she said it was my son's baby, it's my grandbaby.
Which guy did you see?
And family is not a game. It was not a place for careless choices or emotional manipulation. Then came the moment that would tear the family apart. The room held its breath as the judge read the results aloud.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are not her father.
Hey.
Patrice,
baby, I love you, baby. I will.
At the heart of the case is Ms. Hatcher's 2-year-old son, Josiah, caught in a paternity battle between 3 men, each one adamant that they weren't his father, and all but one unwilling to take responsibility.
Ms. Hatcher, you confessed that at the time you conceived your 2-year-old son, Josiah, you had sexual relations with 3 men. Now, you don't want your son to suffer for your mistakes, so you've requested paternity testing on all 3 men.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hatcher confessed that around the time of Josiah's conception, she'd been involved with 3 men, each unaware of the others. She explained that her relationships were messy and complicated. There had been a 5.5-month fling with Mr. Scott, a 7.5-year relationship with her ex, and a one-night stand with Mr. Blake, all happening in the same window of time.
Now, Mr. Scott, you claim Ms. Hatcher led you to believe you were the only potential father of this child until she told you in anger
That's
that
true,
she
ma'am.
needed a DNA test.
Yes, Your Honor, that is true.
Mr. Blake, you claim there's no way you're the child's father, and you're going to prove that today.
Yes, ma'am.
From the get-go, Scott seemed ready for a fight. In an effort to untangle the mess, Miss Hatcher presented a calendar marking the days she had slept with each man. The evidence was as chaotic as the situation itself, with overlapping dates in December, a mere few days apart, suggesting all three men could have had an equal chance of fathering Josiah.
I have a calendar right here.
Oh, that will help us. Jerome, please. As we see here on the calendar, the yellow represents you, Mr. Scott. For Mr. Blake, that's represented in the blue. We're looking at the window of conception.
Okay.
Mr. Sneed is in green.
But it wasn't just the men who were frustrated. The courtroom was surprised at the three fathers, each in their own way voicing their doubts about being Josiah's father. Mr. Scott, who had signed the birth certificate and raised the child as his own for 2 years, was particularly vocal. His frustration was clear as he revealed he'd been blindsided when Miss Hatcher demanded a DNA test, citing her fear that he might try to take Josiah from her.
I want to understand from your perspective why you are doubtful.
Okay, I'm doubtful because she said out of her own mouth, DNA test. I didn't know nothing about her situation. When she came and told me she was pregnant, I believed her.
Okay.
Because she's a woman.
While Mr. Scott was willing to play the part of a father, even buying diapers and spending time with Josiah, he couldn't shake the feeling that something didn't add up. Mr. Blake, the second man in question, was less inclined to take responsibility. He too had slept with Miss Hatcher around the time of conception and admitted that there was a chance Josiah could be his, but he made it clear he wasn't willing to shoulder that burden without solid proof.
Miss Hatcher on the 26th of December, that's the day after Christmas, you should remember that.
We got a hotel room that night. Possibility it could be mine. If it's mine, I don't have a problem with taking care of mine.
Was it protect sex on that day?
We had a little alcohol, but I think so, Your Honor.
Mr. Sneed, the third man, had been left in the dark for almost 2 years before Miss Hatcher told him he might be Josiah's father. He too had doubts, but that did not stop her from telling the court who Scott really is.
This man, you know he's homeless, and I let him stay at my house at night. I don't want him to be my baby's father because he's 43 years old. He don't want to work.
But you slept with him without protection.
Yeah, I did.
Miss Hatcher really didn't want Scott to be the father of her child. She pointed out characteristics in the other men that showed them as the possible fathers. The judge understood her pain, but there's something more at stake here. It wasn't about her, it was about Josiah, their son, who deserved answers and stability, and the judge made sure they understood that.
When this man stepped up and signed the birth certificate, then really that should have been, that's it. Because that's what babies deserve. Their mother and their father in the hospital, when they're born, signing the birth certificate and living their life. Not 2 years later, still sitting up here arguing.
For the mother, the emotional burden was overwhelming. Finally, the moment arrived, the moment of truth. DNA diagnostics had spoken, and their findings would settle this once and for all.
Mr. Sneed is not Josiah's father. When it comes to Mr. Blake, you are not the father.
I'm sorry.
When it comes to Mr. Scott, you are the father.
For Mr. Scott, the news was the sweetest. After months of uncertainty, he finally has the confirmation that he is the father. However, Miss Hatcher was devastated. As they struggled with their feelings, the judge had a few choice words for them.
This doesn't have to happen again, and you don't have to perpetuate this whole nightmare onto your child. And as long as you disrespect him, and as long as you disrespect her, then Josiah is gonna pay for it. Now you wanna roll your eyes, you wanna go home, sit your butt down somewhere and think about what I said. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I am furious.
The courtroom buzzed with the tension of a dispute that had spiraled far beyond a simple question of paternity. On one side, Kakitho Hughes stood in silence, caught between two powerful forces: his mother, Lisa McBirth, and his lover, Ms. Jackson, the mother of his alleged child. The case before the court had torn their fragile relationships apart, and the stakes had never been higher.
Mr. Hughes, you say you're stuck between your mother and your ex-girlfriend who are in a heated dispute in court today. Ms. McBirth, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove your son, Kakitho Hughes, is not the father of Ms. Jackson's 2-year-old son, Elijah Jackson.
Right from the bat, Lisa went for Ms. Jackson. Lisa, certain that the paternity of Elijah Jackson was a lie, was also suing Ms. Jackson for defamation. She is ready to fight for her family as she claimed had been wronged by Ms. Jackson's accusations.
So, Ms. McBirth, why do you believe your son's not the father?
This woman is trouble. She is trouble with a capital T. She, as a matter of fact, I call her the 3 T's. Trash, trouble, and trifling. That's what she is. The little boy looks nothing like my son or any member of my family.
At the heart of the conflict was the question of fatherhood. Ms. Jackson stood firm in her claim that Hughes was the father of her child, Elijah, but Lisa wasn't having it.
Ms. Jackson, obviously you have a different opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you think she's in so much doubt over your child?
I have no idea, to be honest. Like, maybe because he is so white?
Because he all the white. He ain't got no black in him. Everything I see got powder puff on it. I don't see no chocolate nowhere, okay?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Jackson told the court that she and Hughes had been in a relationship for more than a year and had been with nobody else. However, it seems she is lucky to be saying that in a courtroom because these two seem ready to throw hands.
Now she knows she lying. She lying.
Yes, ma'am.
This DNA right here has been in our life. She's never was a girlfriend. You are a vampire. You are just a fly-by-night. We didn't know anything about you. He's been in a relationship for 10 years. So
Mr. Hughes has.
10 years.
In 10 years.
He's been
by another woman.
Genetics can be wild, and it's now common knowledge that when two races mix, they can come out in all shapes and colors. Perhaps Lisa and her daughter are not aware, so the judge had to remind them.
Of course, state the obvious, which I'm hoping you know as well, being African American. You know our children come in all colors, shades.
She told me She told me she didn't know who the father was. She's changed her story up different times about who's the father.
Ms. Jackson's demeanor seems to suggest that there might be some truth in Lisa's accusations. The courtroom quickly became a battlefield where accusations flew and truths were twisted. Lisa and her daughter insisted that Ms. Jackson had made a mockery of the family by claiming her son was the father.
I'm sick of all these little hookers trying to say my son is the daddy. I'm sick of it. I get babies dropped off here, dropped off there. I'm sick of it.
But
it stops today, because that baby is not my son.
What had begun as a question about who fathered a child had erupted into a fierce clash of egos, emotions, and accusations that left the judge frustrated. So, she called on Hughes, the potential husband, to give his take on the issue.
Mr. Hughes, what is your side of this? Please stand, sir. Step up to the podium. Do you believe you are Elijah's father?
I just gave him the benefit of the doubt because I'm biracial. My father's white, so
As the case wore on, the judge listened intently but grew increasingly frustrated. The conflicting testimonies made it impossible to discern the truth without evidence. But that's when the turning point came. The much-awaited paternity test results. It was the one thing that could silence the dispute once and for all.
Mr. Hughes, you are Elijah's father.
No! That's a lie! That's a lie! That's a lie! That's not true!
Now that is anger. Lisa and her daughter are so convinced that little Elijah was not their son that they doubted the DNA results and even suggested she must have interfered with it. Now it's the judge's turn to be angry.
But one thing I do know. Let me tell you something as a mother. Anybody in this world that wants to clap at the thought of not being in my baby's life, don't ever have to sing it.
Amen. Thank you.
Do you understand?
Because I don't want to.
You
I don't want to.
call them for anything.
A mother's love is supposed to be unconditional, but in the courtroom, it was a battlefield. Mr. Andrews stood before the judge, declaring that his ex-partner, Ms. Corbett, had betrayed him in a way that cut to the core. Not only did he doubt the paternity of the child they had together, but he accused her of forging his name on the birth certificate of 5-month-old Quinn Andrews Jr.
Mr. Andrews, you and your mother are in court today suing your ex, Ms. Corbett, for paternity fraud because you claim she forged your signature on the birth certificate of her 5-month-old son, Quinn Andrews Jr.
But his ex, standing just across the aisle, vehemently denied any wrongdoing, suggesting instead that his mother had poisoned his mind. According to Ms. Corbett, there's no way she could have possibly forged Andrews' signature.
Ms. Corbett, you say Mr. Andrews is doubting your son because he does not want to be a responsible adult and because he has a meddling mother. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
If Judge Lauren wants to get to the root of this matter, she would have to dig deep. Andrews laid out the reasons for his claim. He insisted that his name was added on the certificate without his consent.
Mr. Andrews, why do you believe your signature was forged on Quinn Jr.'s birth certificate?
I don't know, Your Honor. I didn't sign anything, and somehow my name still managed to get put on the birth certificate. I have a copy of it right here.
Let me see that birth certificate. Quinn Andrews Sr., name of father, right underneath. But you didn't sign it.
No, ma'am.
The judge, clearly skeptical, turned her attention to the birth certificate itself, searching for answers. Ms. Corbett wasted no time in defending herself. Just like all of us, she found the accusation weird.
Ms. Corbett, did you put his name on there?
No, it's no way possible for me to just put his name on a birth certificate. The only reason why he's saying that he did not sign the birth certificate is because his mother told him not to sign my child's birth certificate. I mean, anybody that has kids.
Ms. Corbett's defense was unshakable, yet her credibility took a hit as Andrews elaborated on the fractured relationship. Andrews' mother described Ms. Corbett as possessive, verbally abusive, and accused her of infidelity.
We were in a relationship, but I could never say it was actually a committed one because every time we hit a bumpy road in our relationship or we get into an argument about anything, it could be simple. Quinn is out the door, right back to his mama.
Ms. Corbett came prepared. Wait a second, let me get my popcorn. This is not going to be a walk in the park. The accusations only piled up as Andrews recounted the discovery of a Magnum wrapper under the sofa. He insisted it wasn't his and questioned whether it belonged to another man.
Your Honor, I doubt for the simple fact that while we was together, I happened to clean the house one day where we stayed at. I found the empty Magnum wrapper under the sofa, which she claimed was mine, which it wasn't, because all of them we used, I throw away.
It was his.
Tell him about that day that you came home from work and she had another man running out the back door. Yes.
Andrews explained that his cousin, who lived across the street, had witnessed a man sneaking out of the back of the apartment. He claimed that this man, whom he suspected of being another lover, had tried to avoid being seen, further fueling his distrust. As Andrews listed one infidelity claim after another, Ms. Corbett denied them all, calling him a liar, but her words seemed to lose power with each new accusation.
This your only doubt?
No, ma'am. I have more than one.
What else?
I found messages in her phone where some guy obviously was telling her, leave the back door open and be naked when I arrive.
Oh, you saw the message?
Yes, ma'am. She denied that in my face, and I'm looking at the message in the phone. That's one reason.
The bitter back and forth between Ms. Corbett and Mr. Andrews had grown into a full-scale battle, their accusations and defenses bouncing back and forth like a relentless game. But when Andrew was supposed to take initiative, he provided an excuse and Judge Lauren goes ballistic.
Why didn't you just take your child with you?
Your Honor, I couldn't take him with me.
You didn't have a car seat?
No, ma'am. I was walking like 2 or 3 miles, so he couldn't come with me.
You can carry a 5-month-old baby 2 or 3 miles that's yours and got your name?
No, Your Honor.
The judge, caught between the animosity and the drama, tried to focus on the facts. She knew the case hinged on the paternity of little Quinn. Was he truly Andrews' son, or was this just another chapter in a deeply broken relationship?
Mr. Andrews, you are the father.